Hi, hello, how are you? Thanks for stopping by. Today we're going to talk to some real people about some real things, living real lives, doing real stuff. This is the Working Prospectus podcast. I'm Matt Lavelle, accompanied by Strong Stem Steve Cabot, and we accompanied later by Party Boy Pete McCormick. Our guest today is the one, the only Sean Day. All right, Strong Stem, you ready to do this one?
He ready.
You ready? We ready. Nice. All right. Well, you can find all our stuff on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Prospectus Podcast. You can join us on Instagram at Working Prospectus Podcast and hang out with us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest in the show, then email us at workingprospectus@gmail.com. All right. Let's get this thing started. Let's go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get paid. Launching a new episode every Tuesday. Your day can transform while we inform with new episodes available on every platform. So check out our vibe and how we get live. Then do us a solid. Share and subscribe. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. We're just sharing. Working perspectives.
All right. Strong Stem, baby. I'm going to kick it to you and you're going to tell us a good one, brother. Cause I'm not going to lie. We say this where we circle this game on the calendar, but this one we fucking circled months ago and we're fucking ready to go. So, all right. Strong Stem, let's have it, brother.
Let me tell you something. So this is a close one for me. This is a guy that I grew up with since we were little kids. I used to go on vacation with his family. He used to go on vacation with my family for years. He's more of a brother than he is a friend. Known this guy my whole life, right?
Yep.
You know, there's levels to shit, right, Matt? Levels to shit.
Sure.
So there's regular guys, there's, men, and then there's men amongst men.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. So as a little kid, I'll never forget, we were on a football team together, middle school, right? Me and another feller who were pretty good football players. And this guy we're about to interview used to have a job on the kickoff team called the Wedge Busters, right? So for those of you who don't know football, they make a little triangle. They try to guard the guy who's receiving the ball, and they make a little wall. And some psychopath has to run down there and explode that, right? So me and this other fella used to take one step behind this guy, chase him down the field, and watch him just decapitate kids while we then made the tackle.
Oh,
and from that point, I always knew and always saw, it didn't matter what we did as kids, whether it was jumping bikes off of bike jumps, or if I found a cliff we could jump off of into a lake, he would climb a tree on top of the cliff to just one up you, because he was just that guy. And when I tell you that he turned out to become something special, it all makes sense when you look back.
Yeah.
And this guy right here ended up becoming one of America's toughest fighters. And it's the reason why we get to have cool shit like this podcast, because of people like him that have gigantic cojones and go over and make it happen.
Amen, brother. Amen. That was great, Steve. Thank you for sharing that. I'll tell you this. My little brother he's gay, right? And he like dated chicks and stuff till he was like in high school. And people would ask, like, did you know he was gay? And I was like, yeah, when we were playing football and he's playing Xena Warrior Princess, we fucking knew, but you're saying something almost in the exact opposite, where it's like, you guys coming up, you knew, like, okay, this fucking guy is jumping off of 30-story buildings and, going nuts and training to be, one of the nation's heroes. So yeah, you knew it from day one.
We were playing backyard football one day and he got tackled into a tree, which it was amazing that he got tackled because he was a lot bigger than us when we were little. So he was impossible to tackle. Yeah. But somebody finally got him down. He ends up hitting a tree and breaking his collarbone, and then just gets up and continues to play the rest of the game. And he's like, dude, he keeps going. My shoulder's killing me. And we're all like, you're fine, bud. You're fine. Yeah, he goes back home. His mom takes him to the doctor. He has a broken fucking collarbone. And the kid kept playing the game.
Did he? I'm assuming he scored a couple touchdowns after the broken. Yeah.
pretty sure he trucked me with that broken collarbone.
Oh boy. Well, I mean, hey man, some people are just built different. It took a fucking. It wasn't like it wasn't that it was one of you guys. It was a tree. You know?
Yeah, I ain't breaking his collarbone. Nah.
Yeah. Mother Nature had to do it. All right. Well, So I'm really happy that he decided to come on, and I'm really happy that he listened to the show and was a friend of the show and decided to come on for an interview. And can't thank him enough for coming on. Sean, I wanted to thank you for coming on, and I wanted to ask real quick: have you seen the movie Bohemian Rhapsody? And if yes, what'd you think of that piece of shit movie?
You know what? I tried watching it. I couldn't get past like 15 minutes because those fucking teeth.
Oh, they're the worst. They're the worst.
I love Freddie Mercury, and I just got buck teeth. But like, dude, it was like cartoonish. And I couldn't get past it. I was like, no, I'm not watching this.
Oh, I wish.
And I was pissed too because I paid for it. I paid like, I don't know, $3 on iTunes, and I was like,
Yeah.
it wasn't even free.
Yeah.
It was on Netflix or anything.
Yeah. No, that's
so I don't know if it was good or not. Maybe it was good after that, but the teeth, I couldn't get past it.
Dude, same. I couldn't. I was same thing. Like I'm like 20 minutes in, and I'm like, this movie, I'm fucking done. Like when they're at like, yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. It was just all like, couldn't take it. Pete for some reason fucking loves it. So I don't know, but yeah, no, I'm happy to hear that. I'm just gonna let you know, you're the third member of the military that we've had on the show, and each one of them had said this movie fucking sucks. Former military guest in the show said that he would kill some son of a bitch that he saw liking it on a plane and then eat him. That's how much he hated the fucking movie. So yeah,
that's a little extreme, but
yeah,
right.
I mean, a little aggressive, but I understand.
Right. It was one of those situations where he was on a plane and he saw the guy enjoying it. It's like, oh well, we're on a plane, maybe I'll try it. Ends up fucking hating it, and he was like, it's this because of this guy. So that's why he wanted to.
So wait, Brandon said he hated it too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Brandon thought it was a piece of shit. Yeah. Of course. So, all right. So Sean, how are you, my man? Thank you for coming.
Good, man. Yeah. Doing good.
Doing good. I know. So you're living life right now. We won't say where you're at, but you run and operate a farm. Is that right?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit. And so we primarily do horticulture therapy with veterans. So we help out veterans with PTSD. It's been shown to kind of help out with their stress levels. And then we also teach them how to farm as well. And then all the food we grow goes to veterans various places. But right now it's kind of difficult with COVID.
Yeah.
Because they won't take any of the food, which is kind of a pain in the ass. And then also we do consulting too for any kind of veteran farmer, because I'm a trained agronomist, so I study farming. And so I'll do free soil samples for them, just figure out the problems for them. And then we've got 2 clients as well, two veterans that we went to their property using my equipment, tractor, and like set them up with like a small little farm on their property.
Dude, that's fucking incredible, man. And
then I've also got my own personal 13 acres that's like in my name. That I donated a portion of it to the nonprofit. So yeah.
Dude, that's incredible, man. That's a great idea too, because it's like when we were kids, right? Fucking mowing the lawn, yard work, like you didn't really want to do it. But now it's like, as adults, it's like a type of therapy. It really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're out there, you're using your hands, you're going through the process, and then like seeing the results of your labor, it's very gratifying, right? Like, is that kind of like the gist of what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely gratifying too. And also it's really cool that like, some nerdy scientists actually like, quantitatively was like, this is actually going to help people like prevent like veteran suicide and stuff like that. So it's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we feel it just like internally, but it's cool that like scientists actually went in there and like did cortisol tests. Like when you're stressed out, usually your cortisol levels are high. And so they did these tests, and they were like, had these veterans go farm, and their cortisol levels were down. So it's cool that like, it definitely feels good, but it's also that people are like, yeah, it's legit helping.
It's proven
people.
To help. Yeah, that's fantastic. I would
now in that too, Sean. Let me ask a question. Like the same thing as, obviously, I have no military experience, but I do have the experience of being on high level teams with guys that go through a bunch of shit. And you get that brotherhood, you get that routine down. You're used to going to the gym every day, working with your buddies, is it the same type of ordeal when you miss those guys in the sense that when you come back, there's a lot of times guys don't know what they want to do. They're used to, kind of being in a set routine for so long and having that camaraderie with guys around you that would lose their life for your life. Yeah. Like, and them not around you, how much that affect most of you?
Yeah. I mean, for me, that was the hardest part about getting out. It's like, it's hard to like relate to people. I mean, even like you guys see it in wrestling, like how you interact with like your wrestling buddies
Yeah.
versus like your non-wrestling buddies. Like
so much different.
Like you can't curse and stuff like that. You can't talk about stupid, ridiculous shit. So
Yeah.
some of it's just like you miss the banter of it.
Yes.
And just
I agree.
And and like so it's nice to be around other veterans farming and stuff too. And some days it's like it's really hard work too. Like if you're harvesting like 2,000 pounds of potatoes, by hand, it's a hard day's work. And there's something about doing really hard things together with people, like it bonds you in different ways. So it's nice to have that. But
I agree.
That was definitely the hardest part for me because I went straight into school. My goal was always to go to school, get at least a bachelor's, and now I'm pursuing a master's and hopefully a PhD. But like I went from like being a Navy SEAL to like being in fucking community college.
Oh my God. You went from guys running around with guns to chicks running around with purses.
Yeah, and so at the time, that's why I got heavily into martial arts. I mean, I was always into martial arts stuff like that as a kid, but like that's part of why I did it. Even though like I found out that I had like a bunch of head trauma, I shouldn't have been doing what I was doing. Like I found out in the military, and despite that, I was like, I'm still gonna do it anyway. That's why I got when I was pretty much all as an undergrad, I got really into like jiu-jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing. I mean, I was always into it like here and there, but being a SEAL, it's too difficult to do it consistently. And so that's why I got into that. And then once I got to Fresno State, got really hardcore into the farming as well. Where I was actually a paid farmer. I was working with, orchards and vineyards. That's working with all kinds of stuff. I mean, like huge farms, like 1,000-acre farms, driving $250,000 tractors, which is really cool.
Hell yeah!
I would love. I mean, that to me is fascinating. Also, it's like people, it's crazy to think like people did that for millions of years, well, thousands of years, right? People are doing that. And now Sean, like everyone did that before. Everyone grew their own plants and had orchards and all that stuff. Now Sean is like, there's not that many people that even know how to do that, like to have like that survival knowledge and things like that. I think that's fascinating. I did want to ask though, so when you're going to like the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, did you find, because I teach boxing at the Renzo Gray CPA Academy, which is a big Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym. And we found that like we get a lot of ex-military there. Right. And do you think like part of the camaraderie you build at the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym, like that helps as well, where it's like you miss the camaraderie out, when you're out in the field with your team, but now that you're not doing that anymore, you can come here and build like a camaraderie there as well. Did you think that kind of helped when you were, helped you when you were kind of missing the camaraderie of your old SEAL team?
Yeah, it definitely helped. And like, I mean, at the time when I got out in 2013, I was still processing a lot of stuff. I mean, I did five combat deployments, and so I was still kind of processing stuff. So some of it was nice just to get in there and like just hit shit, like hit the bag and you just feel better. And so I'm definitely I moved past a lot of that stuff. But at the time I just, I needed to hit shit. So. But it was fun. It was really rewarding too. Cause when I was in the military, I got fMRI and they found all these lesions on my brain, found out I had like a small stroke. So I shouldn't have been sparring anyway, but I started getting really into it, got my blue belt, and then eventually got my purple belt in jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Making a push toward brown belt. But and then I've been striking pretty much my whole life. I primarily like that. So I picked that up really fast. And a lot of the guys needed sparring partners. You know how it is. It's hard to find sparring partners. Yeah. It's hard to find good ones that are like willing to do it. And
especially your size. Sean's not a small guy for you guys that out there listening. The big guys Matt knows this. Big guys are the hardest to find that are actually skillful in that. Little guys are a dime a dozen. Big guys hard to find.
Well, actually,
big guys will hurt you.
Right.
I actually lucked out because I have sort of a small game when I do fight. Because I was going against like really good wrestlers. Like
I remember you telling me, wasn't Koscheck in the gym you were at?
Oh no.
Yeah, at what point I was like, he was kind of on his way out and he was going to do some other things in the military, but he was still there. And like they had all these like really good guys like Mason Fowler, he was an up and coming guy, and then like really good guys like Ed Ruth. Ed Ruth, Ed Ruth was 161-1 in Penn State, and he made his transition over. And so at the time, like I was his sparring partner because he sucked at striking when he first started. Like
they
most guys.
Do.
So and he was really slow. And so I was, but then like he would teach me wrestling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I would cheat and put him in a knee bar because like he was a white belt. So technically you're not supposed to do knee bars to white belts. So it was like, fuck this, I'm doing it. I don't care.
That's
But no,
like,
Yeah, he's not a regular white belt. He's a 3-time NCAA national champion and one of the greatest college
you can
wrestlers to
kind of
ever
get
live.
away with it. Yeah.
yeah, which lasted for about
They'll be
2
all right
weeks,
with it.
which lasted for like 2 weeks. I saw him like
And then
his day one jiu-jitsu, and it was like, yeah,
Oh,
he's gone now.
They skyrocket. But yeah, you're
Freak
absolutely
out.
But no, but it was nice just like, and also like when I was training in Tucson, I saw like other guys too, like, you know, good amateur fighters go from amateur to pro. And some of the guys I work with, like Chris Carriasso, he was in the UFC. He had a title shot.
Yeah.
Anthony Burchak gave him a concussion. Gave Anthony concussion. Which
Hell yeah.
Well, he punched me. He's my good friend, but we were sparring, and the rule is, you know, you hit people as hard as you want to be hit. I'm like, okay, bud, you want to fucking hit me as hard?
Yeah, you want to fucking go?
Exactly.
Let's go.
Yeah,
fucking leg kick the shit
I had
out
to
of him,
learn that
punch him.
lesson. I learned that lesson where you accidentally tap the guy and then you start feeling yourself. The other guy's on a higher level than you, so you start feeling pretty good because he's taking it easy on you, just like you would as a wrestler or jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Then you punch him a little harder, and just so you know, he punches you a little harder.
Yeah.
And then you punch him a little harder. Then he nails you, and you're like, oh, all right, I get it. There's levels to this shit. All right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Let's pull it back.
Yeah.
But then he was a really good wrestler, and like, you know, I took 4 years off of wrestling in high school and then tried to come back. That didn't turn out good. But no, but he
That's
would like
hard.
he would destroy me in the wrestling. So, but no, it was fun. It was fun being around those guys. The camaraderie is awesome. Just again, like the banter. It's fun being around them. Like being able to like actually like
locker
express
room
yourself the way you want to fucking say shit.
Yeah. And you're not worried about someone, you know, being offended and bullshit like that. Like it's all joking and bullshit and you know, cutting it up like guys do.
For this, Matt, for this real quick, how Sean says he, started martial arts at a young age. Yeah. While I was wrestling and all that other stuff, and we were playing football together, he was always an athlete, good athlete. He was going to a certain, what was he, Sean? Was he karate or was he like a Muay Thai? He was a certain discipline, but Sean was like his main student. And when Sean would do something wrong, he would whale him with a goddamn bamboo stick. So Sean would show up some days and have like bruises, and we're like 13. I'm like, Sean, where's that massive bruise on your back for? He's like, I missed a step side kick. I'm like, Jesus. Wait, all right, but why is there the mark? He's like, when you mess up, they whack you with the stick. I'm like, what?
All with a broken collarbone.
Yeah, dude, that sucked. I couldn't go to school for a few weeks because like with the collarbone, you have to like put this backpack thing on. Like you have to sit like this for a month.
Sleep sitting up. I remember you having to sleep sitting up. Yeah.
I couldn't go to school or anything. It sucked. That school, no, it wasn't Taekwondo. I mean,
what was that?
It wasn't Muay Thai. I wish I had Muay Thai back then, but it was better than nothing. But Taekwondo obviously is making a comeback in the UFC, but But the Taekwondo he taught wasn't like that stupid like sport shit you see in the Olympics, that flippy stuff.
Was it more like military style?
Yeah, because he used to teach the military in Korea.
And
so I learned. I mean, there were some rules like you couldn't do leg kicks and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I was doing Taekwondo, and the Hapkido was kind of bullshit. But Hapkido was more for like if you're unarmed going against a sword fighter. So maybe in Philadelphia you got a crackhead with a sword. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah. Wouldn't be surprised. They definitely have a fire poker for sure. But
sure do.
So it was all under one. It was all under one school, and we did also what is called Kung Jung Mu Seal. That's where you get all the weapons training. So I was doing like nunchucks and stuff, and sword fighting and knife fighting and bow staff, which is mostly bullshit. But actually, some of the bow staff and the knife stuff is probably fairly applicable.
Dude,
you go to a bar. Sure. I mean, you go to a bar. Someone's got a pull cue. Yeah. And then you look at the stats. Like most people who are murdered with the guns. And then knives, and then like unarmed combat. So some of the knife stuff was probably fairly applicable.
I always did want to like, because think about like, I always thought this, right? Like if we're in like an apocalyptic situation, like I remember Joe Rogan has like a stand up where he's like, yeah, you know, if we like we're in an apocalypse, fucking you got a gun till you run out of bullets. Do you know how to make fucking bullets? I don't, you know. So my thought was, I was like, I would love to know how to like legit sword fight. You know what I mean? Like, I think like it is a form of combat, you know, I don't know.
Sure.
Like, I think like if we do ever loot, like if guns are gone, like, I mean, you know, swords were number one for a long time. So, you know, I don't know. I just thought it'd be cool, but yeah, So I did want to get to this. So we kind of got off the rails a little bit. So I want to get like a real introduction and kind of bring it back. So like we said, Sean Day here. He was born in Doylestown, PA, grew up in the North Wales, which is also known as N-Dub, because we have N-Dub's favorite son, Steve Cabot here.
Only the finest from N-Dub.
That's right. And then, I feel like we get plenty of N-Dub on this show, like we're very N-Dub friendly on this show.
I think this is our fourth borough boy, isn't it? Because we had me, we had Brandon, we had Tommy.
Yep.
And now Sean. All lived within 3-4 blocks of each other.
Yeah. And I booked J-Dub to be on. I booked Brandon to be on again. Oh yeah. You guys are all, you guys are great content. No. But like we were saying, Sean went to public school K through 12. Growing up, he did baseball, football, wrestling, martial arts. And this is something I did want to talk to because so people like, and so I will say this, right? So back in the day when we were in high school, right, you had like high school legends, right? And where it would be like, like we were like, I think now it's a little different. But back then we'd be like, dude, this kid does this and this kid does this. This kid's so tough. He does this. Sean was one of those guys because Sean was going to Navy SEAL training camps, right? Or doing like things like training to be a SEAL when we were in high school, So I want to get into that a little bit, but I did want to start out with some job history. So it does look like your first job ever, Sean. Oh, I did want to say this. What's the name of the nonprofit that you have, Sean?
It's NeptuneSpearFarms.org. Neptune, check it out.
Well, just for everyone listening, we're going to have a link to that in the description of this episode. So everyone check it out, and you have an Instagram page too, right, Sean?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. So we'll have the link for the Instagram, all the socials and the website in the description of this episode. So everyone, please check it out. It's a great organization, and, more power to it. Any way we can help, that'd be great. And then, Sean, so your first job was a paper boy. Is that right?
Yeah. And I was under 14, so I'm assuming it was a legit job because it was like through like the city.
Yeah.
And I got it from a buddy of mine, and it was actually a hard route. North Wales is just one big hill, and I had to go all the way up fucking 9th Street, all the way up there. It was a hard route, but I only did that for maybe a year.
Yeah. And then so you did that, and also too, you're waking up early, right? Like, as a paper boy, you don't have to wake up at like the butt crack of dawn to get that shit going.
Technically, you don't have to, but it was all tips, and so all the people out there were all old people, so it's just better. And also, I was trying to do it before school because I was playing sports. So after school sports, so I generally just got it done early in the morning.
Damn, that's a badass stuff. I always saw like the paperboy gimmick as like a thing, but then in my mind, I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm waking up early to do this, But
until it snows, you got to walk up the goddamn hill because I can't use my bike now.
Dude, and how old? And you were 14 too. So it's like, oh man.
No, I was actually younger than that. That's why I'm saying I was under 14. So, but it was a legit job. I mean, you can start working when you're 14, right? I don't know.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. You're right.
I was like 12 years old, I think.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. I mean, well, it makes sense. I was 13 when I started working at the Italian restaurant. So yeah, that makes sense. And that's kind of like the paper boy is like the quintessential like kid job. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, when you think of like a job for a kid, paper boy is like it. So, but you did that in that job. Like, I'll tell you that job builds a lot of character as well, because to rely on a young kid, under 14 years old, to wake up every morning, put the shit together, get on their bike, or in some cases walk when it's fucking freezing out in the morning when it's still dark to deliver these damn papers, like that shit. I mean, it is impressive to see a young kid have the discipline to do that. But then after the paper boy, you worked at the pet shop. Is that right?
Yeah. And that job was definitely a legal job. I was working at Charlie's Pet Shop. It was, where Susie's Lounge is at?
Yeah. For those of you not from the Lansdale area, Susie's Lounge is a legendary go-go bar that's on like one of the main roads in like a small town, and it's like, dude, it's been around for forever, it seems like. And it's one of those places, like, I mean, it's got to be like a dinosaur museum in there, man. I don't freaking know. But yeah, so okay. So you worked at, what was it, Charlie's Pet Shop?
Yeah, it's closed down now, but that was a fun job. I was 12 or 13 years old, did it till I was like 14 or 15. I was primarily like a fish salesman, so I like knew all the different fish in there. And some of it was like
Oh.
they kind of gave me a lot of responsibility because I was selling some of these saltwater fish, and some of these saltwater fish are like $200, $250.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
And
shit.
so like I had to make sure like these people knew what they were doing, like make sure they're especially with saltwater. If the saltwater is not correct, if the pH is off a little bit, the fish will die. Or if you put the wrong fish with another fish, they'll die. So it's expensive. It's an expensive hobby. And then
Oh, wow.
we had all kinds of illegal animals in the back. He had like all these unregistered animals that you're not supposed to have.
What?
And then the fucking scary part was like that guy. He was an idiot for like if I got hurt. I mean, the insurance he would have been fucked. But
Yeah.
he had breeding macaws in the back, and those things are mean.
With the birds, the bird gimmicks, the macaws, right?
Yeah, the big ones. Yeah, and like so I had to go feed them, but like he had ones back there. They was breeding, so they were like really aggressive. And I would put pieces of dowelwood in there, like the size of my finger, and dude, it would break the entire piece of dowelwood. And he's having me in there like clean the cage, and I'm like, these things are trying to fuck, and they're like getting mad at me. I'm like, dude, I'm just cleaning your cage, bro.
Look,
Like,
yeah, man. I don't want anything to do with your woman. Right?
Yeah, I ain't cock blocking,
Yeah.
bro. Chill.
So I had that, and then
on your toes. Yeah.
And then I almost got fucking I got killed, but I got bit by I had like a 12-foot Burmese python. I was told the thing was fed. This thing was in display, and so it was open. The store was there. You know, the store was open. Everyone's there.
Yeah.
And I was told to go in there and clean it. And I had this big like duster. And we used to feed this thing like big old dead rats, like that big. And so this thing was hungry and thought that was a rat and fucking bit the duster and had his whole fucking arm around me. So I'm fucking running through the store with a customer with this big ass fucking Burmese python on me.
Oh.
And they had to and the owner had to get a knife and get this thing off of me. So that was a fun job.
Oh my god.
Good. Wouldn't they?
But like it was pretty dangerous actually, hindsight.
Yeah. How, like if you're, what are you, 14, right? Like,
Yeah, I was like 14 years old. I mean, I was in good shape. By then I was wrestling, so I was in decent shape. So like it wasn't like super deadly, but like it was pretty fucking scary having a Burmese python. That thing was probably, I mean, at least 75 pounds. I mean, it was big. It was big as fuck.
dude, also,
Those things get big.
Yeah, they're huge, but like, how, like, my mind, do they like put those things to sleep? Is that how they get them off you? Like, how would he get them off you?
No,
Tie that bitch off.
Yeah, it starts constricting. So they just put like a knife in there and kind of like one guy grabbed like the tail and they would just kind of put the knife down my arm without trying to cut me. And then like, because the thing was
Fulcrum it off.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, fulcrum it off, but also like the blade was like, I guess, hurting it. So it came off and eventually got it off.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Did you, and like you this would happen while at work, would you tell your parents, or are you just going home like, oh, it fucking happened, you know?
Yeah, I told my parents, but like, I mean,
They
they
care.
didn't, I guess they cared, but like they knew how I was. Like they're not going to stop me from doing what I want to do. Because if I wasn't there, I'd be like with Steve, like jumping off a fucking 100-foot trestle,
Hell yeah.
trying to break my
They're
leg.
like,
This is
a
probably
snake bite.
safer than
Yeah, you're okay.
safer than the alternative.
Yeah. Poisonous snakes is safer than hanging out with Steve. That's
you're
for
right.
damn sure. So okay, so you're working at the pet shop. You're, you know, I mean, it seems like life or death situations are they're coming at you at a pretty early age here.
Kind of
So
a
that-
theme for Sean.
Yeah. How about it? Lifelong theme. So you're at the pet shop, and then you worked as a dishwasher. Where did you work as a dishwasher at?
Ooh,
Tex-Mex.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, I started going there because it was much closer. It was like literally a block from my house.
Yeah.
Much closer. I could ride my bike there. So
Yeah.
I got hired as a dishwasher, but then I was a prep cook too because
Nice.
Tex-Mex would get like crazy busy,
Yeah.
and so like I'd have to like go downstairs and like make chips, whatever, because everything there was pretty much handmade. So I
Yeah.
had to go down there and make, you know, be a prep cook too. So I would do that. During the day, I was sort of a prep cook, and then dishwasher, and then prep cook as I was a dishwasher. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Dude, that's
And he kind of got a little favorable treatment because a certain stepfather of his happened to be one of the cooks in the kitchen.
Oh,
Yeah. My dad was he was like a classically trained chef. Like went to like the Philadelphia Art Institute, so he was a really good chef. And
Yeah, made some awesome food. The dude used to make all types of great shit.
I got ruined by him. He's like,
his food was so good. Oh, it was amazing.
But he worked there for a little bit. So I guess I actually like worked right beside my stepdad.
Oh, so I was gonna ask. So I worked in kitchens at a young age, and you grow up quick working in a kitchen at a young age, like especially with the things you hear. You know what I'm saying? But if you're working with your stepdad, I guess it's not as, because like, dude, all the kitchens I worked in are so fucking vulgar, and like the shit you're talking about as a 13-year-old, and you're learning through, like, I'm going to my buddies like, hey guys, you know what chocolate starfish is? You know what I mean? Like, you're learning all these fucking like all these things that you have no idea what they are. But that wasn't the case here, because you're with your stepdad, right?
Oh, it sure was. Rich let it fly. He was cool as shit.
Yeah, I think it started out like that, but then like everyone gets in the role of working, and just people start saying what they're gonna say. And I mean, he wasn't like always over my shoulder anyway. Like during the day, I wasn't like side by side with him all the time.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, but like I worked only in the weekends at Tex-Mex because I was like playing sports stuff during the week, so I couldn't work. But I mean, you go to Tex-Mex on a Friday and Saturday, like, dude, it's fucking packed. So like, I mean, there's no time to really.
Yeah, you're not honestly, fucking bullshitting.
Unless it was like really snowy outside or something like that, we were always packed. So like, and I was busy as fuck. Like, I mean, I did so many goddamn dishes in there. That was actually a pretty hard job. It was like, you would think like just doing dishes, but man, it gets packed in there.
Oh, dude,
yeah,
for sure.
And then I was there till 2-3 in the morning, because afterwards, when I left, I had to clean all the pots and stuff like that and all that kind of shit. So,
oh wow.
But usually we just get drunk. We like, after everyone left, we just find some booze and just clean all the pots and stuff. Because I think the place closed at like 10 or 11. So just get drunk and clean the pots and stuff like that.
That's the best.
Hell yeah.
Nice, good. And that's kind of like that's like some old school shit that you miss. And then so then after that, that's kind of like high school, and then you did some carpentry, is that right?
Yeah, so my parents own like a catering business and also like a lunch truck. And so like the lunch truck would just like go to like work sites and stuff like that. So my mom got me that job.
Oh.
And,
so there you go, Matt. Real quick too. There's another theme. All the North Wales guys always have their parents on some type of small business hustle.
Yeah.
Sean's right in par with my dad, Mr. Romeo, everybody else. Everybody trying to do their own little hustle around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're working for people. I mean, it's not for everyone. I don't like it.
Not for me.
I've been doing it my whole life, and I'm over it now. That's why I have my own business. I'm like, I'm not working for people.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did the carpentry thing, and we didn't have the fabricated homes, so we did like the old school framing. Like we just got piles of wood and just built it, measured everything. I think nowadays homes are kind of like quasi built in a factory. They come together and put up a wall.
Most like IKEA. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a hard fucking job, man. Like, you don't think like a 4x8 piece of plywood's heavy, but dude, you get like a 1/2-inch piece of that, and then like if it's windy, and I had like some of those homes. I mean, these homes were huge. They were like 3,000 square foot homes, 3 stories. So I'd like take it all to the top.
Jesus.
So in the beginning, I was just like a laborer, just the grunt. Yeah. But eventually, they started teaching me stuff like how to like, measure shit and like cut stuff, learn how to use like circular saws, all that kind of stuff. So, which that's actually really useful as a farmer, because there's days I have to like just shit breaks. I got to make it. So that was a really good job. I can't see myself doing it for my whole life, but I did it for like about 2 years, primarily in the summer.
Nice. So, okay. So, all right. So that was kind of then, so you did that in like high school, right?
Yeah. High school. Yeah. I went straight in the Navy. Like, I mean, that was my whole goal was to be a SEAL since I was like 10 years old.
Since I can remember.
Yeah. So that was one of the things I remember, like when we were talking about like legendary kids at school, that was one of the things of like, like people would say like, who's the toughest kid in the school? And Sean's name would always come up, because they're like, dude, Sean's fucking been training to be a Navy SEAL, and your older brother is a SEAL as well, right?
Yeah. He's my half brother. So we have the same dads, different moms. So we didn't really grow up at all, but he's a SEAL. He did 21 years, and talk about legendary.
Legend.
I mean, like absolute, even among SEALs.
Top 5 SEAL ever with the story.
Shut the fuck up.
So he has a book out. It's called Perfectly Wounded.
Yep.
Nice. We'll have a link to it. We'll have a link where you can find it. It's probably on Amazon, right?
It's on everything.
Nice.
I don't think it's
Perfect.
I think he's in the works for an audiobook and stuff like that. But no, he got shot fucking 27 times.
And Ramadi?
No, this is Fallujah. Played a little province called Karma, but he got shot 27 times. Got blown up by a grenade. This is all in the same mission. Blown up by a grenade, knocked out, and killed 4 dudes
that were shooting him.
Yeah, and it shot him, and then walked off target.
Walked off on his own power. How crazy is that?
Yeah, and I mean, if you YouTube him, and like he's all over YouTube now.
Oh yeah, he's on. Jocko interviewed him. Yep, Jocko interviewed him.
Yeah, Jocko. Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. Good. Hey,
and then his his other brother is what, Sean, like a CB or some shit? What's Brian?
No, Brian. No, he's like a master craftsman. He can like, he didn't go in the military at all, but no, he can fucking fix anything. He lives out there. He's a big hunter and he can fix anything. My dad was he was in the Navy during the Vietnam era. He was an MH-60 mechanic. That was for the helicopters.
Oh shit! All right, nice. Yeah, dude, that's
so
fucking badass, man.
Oh yeah, got a family full. And just so you know, as like we're going back now, still when we were kids, as you guys know, I talk a lot of shit. I'm also an asshole. I readily admit this all the time.
You do.
I'm pretty sure Sean helped mold me into that, because as a combo of friends when we were little, Sean was always trying to toughen himself up and get ready for his life's goal. And he also knew that one of his very close friends was a giant asshole that could talk shit with the best of them. Sure. So Sean, when we go on like vacation, he'd be like, yo, go stir something up. So I go out there, find some kids, talk shit, make fun of them. They're like, we're going to fuck your little ass up. Then I turn around and they go to get me. And Sean would beat the fuck out of these kids in front of me just because we had to. It's what you do as little boys. You know what I mean?
So I will say this, right? And like Sean, me and Sean were drilling partners when we were on the wrestling team, right? So Sean, was always like, you're always been just, to me, it's from my experience with you, and I'm not saying it's a ton, but you're a mild-mannered guy, right? Like, you know, you can kind of tell there's like a resting tension, right? So it's, what I mean by that is like, when you want to flip it on, it's go time, right? Oof. So you're saying like sometimes you just have like this tension where it's like you're saying, like you need to hit the bag, you need to do something, like, especially when we're younger and we're filled with like hormones, testosterone, and all that shit. Sometimes you just need to find a group of guys to have your friend talk some shit to and beat the fuck out of them, right? Like that's
I mean, I don't know what it was. I mean, I don't know if it's like genetic or environmental. I mean, just ever since I was a young kid, I was always that way.
I literally vividly remember being in like Wildwood, and we're at like one of the water parks on the boardwalks. And we were like holding down this one like water tube thing, right? There's a tube that you could like crawl through. It was cool as shit. So all these kids wanted to go in it. Sean's like, you get on that side, I'll get on this side. We're not letting any of these kids in here. This is our tube. Yeah. I was like, hell yeah. So of course some bigger kid comes up. He's like, yo, little kid. 'Cause I was also very small when I was little. Right. So and Sean was a monster. So they were like, yo, let me the fuck in this tube.
I was like, no, you were like, you wrestled like you wrestled at Panthers too, right? Yeah.
The reason honestly, the reason I got into wrestling was because I got a lot of fights and I got beat up a few times. So I started wrestling in 3rd grade.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Anyways, go ahead. Yeah.
No, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
So we're in the tube and I see these guys and I'm like, yo, fucking tube's closed, jerk off. Which that's a little aggressive, right? I didn't have to go that far. And the guy's like, oh, what are you talking about? You're gonna talk shit? I'm like, yeah, and you ain't gonna do shit about it because I'll beat your ass. And the kid's like, oh, I'm gonna beat the shit out of this little kid. Yeah. And then all of a sudden I'm like, Sean, I scurry through the tube. We like slide past each other. Sean comes out and beats the daylights out of this kid in a fucking little tube. Kid walked out of that tube back to his mom. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? I thought I was gonna beat the shit out of this little shit talking rat. And instead this big fucking heavy kid comes out and beats the fucking brakes off.
With like bright red hair.
Yeah, with red hair. It was great.
Yeah. Oh,
it gave me a
sense. You used to have a big thing of red hair when like back in the day.
Oh yeah,
right, Sean.
Yeah, I'm bald now, but it's brown. It's brown if I grow up. Yeah, but I had bright red curly hair.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which I hated having curly hair, but anyways,
so like you were saying though, that was kind of a catalyst to join the rest. Like same thing with my family. So when we moved here, I was 8 years old. My older brother asshole was 10. and we went to school, and like one of the first days of school, Tom, my older brother, gets into a fight, right? Like not the first day, but like soon into school, like he gets into a fight. And then that day, my dad signed us up for wrestling, and he's like, "You're both going to be on the wrestling team." And this,
I don't think the fighting had anything to do with it, Matt. Whether or not you guys,
I think it was going to happen eventually.
Your old man. So if you don't know Sean, their old man's former. What is he, a Ranger?
Yeah, I remember he was a Ranger.
Yeah. So his old man's as hard as they come. His old man, it didn't matter if you got in a fight or not. He was going to wrestle, Matt. He going to make you wrestle.
I agree. No, I agree, and I'm happy he did, and I'm happy.
Of course,
I think that's a great thing.
Absolutely.
But Sean, was it the same for you, or was the wrestling and like the martial arts training and everything, was that your motivation as well? And also, like in my experience, at least, like like you want to get out some aggression, right, with the fighting and things like that. But you're also testing yourself, right? Like, isn't that 100%. Your mindset? Like you seem like, at least like in some scenarios, like, no, I want to test my limits and what I can do. Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like, because you weren't a bully, like you weren't going around like picking on littler kids and shit.
Nope,
like
that was my job.
Yeah, you were always like you would go, like, you're not. Yeah, you weren't a bully, at least from what I can remember.
Well, I mean, some of the fighting, like I said, I whatever reason, when I was 5 years old, even 4 years old, I was just sort of an aggressive kid anyway. But I was also I was fat, and so people would make fun of me. So a lot of the fights were just people making fun of me, or I had like bright red curly hair, make fun of that, or they call me Sean Gay.
Yeah. So ready.
And some kids go home and cry. Like, I mean, I literally, if you made fun of me, like on the spot, I was gonna like punch you.
So
if you were older, I would like. There's sometimes older kids who do it, and like I knew they could beat me up, so I'd get my books in my book bag and fucking hit him in the head. So I just like was always getting into fights, and then I was actually my 3rd grade teacher, Mr. Price. He was a
Mr. Price. Shout out, Mr. Price.
So
I was in that class, by the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I don't think that was an accident. Mr. Price was like this big badass dude. He was like 6'4", like super athletic. He's an awesome guy.
Young as shit. He was awesome.
He had me, Steve, Chaz Ziegler, and Jason Romeo all in one class.
Jesus.
And Jason O'Hara.
I don't think that was an accident. I think they put us together.
Yeah.
But he saw me. He saw me getting into like fights and stuff like that, and so he's the one that actually gave me the pamphlet for the North Penn Panthers.
Yeah.
And so I started wrestling. I guess that was 3rd grade. I guess I missed that, but I think I started in 4th grade.
Yeah. Shout out Panthers.
And
best wrestling team going.
And while we go back to the North Wales Elementary School, when he brought up that one, there's 2. I'll never forget this one too. Here's a classic Sean Day story for you. These little 2 twins who were very athletic. They were running around. They thought they were the shit. They weren't really borough kids, so we kind of shit on them. Mm-hmm. This kid calls Sean Gay and tries to run away. Sean runs up behind him, pushes him so hard in his back while he's running that the kid loses his balance, goes face first into the curb, and knocks his fucking tooth out.
Yeah, and the funny part is his dad was a dentist.
Awesome.
His dad was a dentist, and his tooth went into his gum.
Oh, and then when he came home, they said, "Why'd you do that?" And he was like, "Cause I called him Sean Gay.
Like
he threw me into the curb like a fucking."
And I want people to know, like, that's not Sean being a bully. That's Sean not being fucking made fun of.
That's called karma, bitch. That's called karma. Also, like, talk shit and get your ass whooped.
Exactly. If you're being intentionally antagonistic, then then fucking
you got what's coming.
All bets are off. Yeah,
you get what's coming.
I agree.
But in hindsight, the fights though, I mean, honestly, like I was like fighting people, like, so maybe like the name calling would stop, but like the name calling just stopped in my grade. So like it was older kids started. So I started fighting older and older kids. I started getting ramped up. I mean, it's fun to talk about, but I wouldn't hoping my kids don't do that. But ultimately, all the fights just led to more fights.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it stopped anything.
Mine was the same. All the kids in my grade, but it's just I was always ending up because I was also very like I was big for my age. You were big for your age too, right? So like the older kids, they kind of marked you, like because maybe an older kid who's like a little smaller for their age is still a little bigger than you, but you're a big kid apparently, and like they would mark you and try and do shit. But fuck it. All
right,
I did want to talk about this. So when I went to Catholic school from kindergarten through 9th grade, right, and I didn't have a male teacher until I was in 9th grade in high school, right? You're saying like you had a 3rd grade male teacher who was like to this day still like an influence you consider, right? Like that wrestling pamphlet changed your life, like change your trajectory at least of your life. Like I mean, to me, like you guys were North Wales isn't a city, but it's close to a city type of neighborhood, right? And you have like a bunch of like blue collar kids growing up in like a rougher area, like a neighborhood that's kind of aggressive. And like to have a male teacher there that was like a presence, I think that's a great thing. And it's almost like very fortunate that you had that,
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I don't know where I would have ended up if I didn't have the wrestling at the time, because like at that time I was getting a lot of fights and it's fun to talk about, but like I mean the school didn't see it as funny,
Yeah.
and so I had to like take like anger management courses like when I was really young, and so like the wrestling really helped out. But no, he was awesome. I mean, even after school, like, he was very dedicated, and like after school, he would see us playing sports, and he would, he like taught us how to like throw a football and stuff like that. So it was cool. I mean, we all had dads, but our dads were,
working.
They were working their ass off. So
yeah,
he was like almost like a sort of like a dad. But yeah, it'd be cool to reach out to him. I'm sure he's probably still teaching because he was young. He must have been like, he was like fresh out of college probably. He was a young guy.
See, that's great though, right? Like young boys need that. I hated that, like, because like I said, Catholic school, all female teachers, like I wasn't getting anything like that. I wasn't getting help with like aggression or anything. And anything was the opposite. You were like, just like, you were beaten down so much for like having any type of aggression or competitive nature or anything like that. And like, it was all catty and like all that bullshit where it's like, that's not good for the development of young men. So shout out to, what was his name? Mr. Price.
Mr. Price. I can't think of his first name. I don't think I ever knew it. I just Mr. Price.
Hey, Mr. Price. Yeah, Mr.'s good enough. So I do want to talk about this, right? So you like you're saying, your goal from day one has been to be a Navy SEAL. What would you say? Like, do you know like where did that goal come from? Like, what was the inspiration to want to be a Navy SEAL?
Oh, I mean, it was very, very pinpointed. Like I said, I always had like this desire to be some sort of badass.
Yeah.
But like the point where I wanted to be like a SEAL was very pinpointed. It was I was 11 years old. My brother was part of, he was a SEAL at the time. And he was part of the Leapfrogs, which is like a kind of like a recruiting team. At the time, it was all SEALs. And they just jump into like stadiums and air shows, and they do all kinds of cool stuff. They have cool uniforms on. They have like smoke attached to their heels, so they're flipping around with all kinds of colorful smoke. Yeah. They got American flags. They'll jump out as like the mascot, like if they're going to Atlanta. But no, but he came to our area when I was 11 years old. I guess it was fifth grade. And he was jumping into Willow Grove Air Force Base back when that was still open. Dude. And so he was supposed to jump into there, and then he was going to jump into the Philly Stadium as well. And so I got to go see him at the Willow Grove Air Force Base, and he had a bad opening. So his main chute didn't open all the way, and so he was fucking spinning around in the air, and he had to cut away. And so I haven't seen him like since I was like probably 2 years old, and I had no idea who it was in the air. I just saw some fucking dude coming out of the air, and he cuts away, and then his reserve chutes opens up, lands on the ground. I still have no idea who this is yet. I mean, I knew my brother was up there, but then maybe like, I don't know, an hour later, he's like out there like signing autographs for the crowd. And I go see him because I knew he had like this bright blonde hair. I haven't seen him in a while. Went over there and gave him a hug, and he acted like fucking nothing happened. I'm like, dude, like in my mind, I'm like, you almost fucking died, and you're just like acting like nothing happened. I want to do that. Like I want to be like that badass.
Yeah.
And so like that's like the pinpointed moment. And then 2 days later, he jumped into the Philadelphia Philly Stadium.
The old veteran stadium.
Yeah, the old vet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And his buddy was jumping in as the Philly Fanatic, so I actually get to like wear the Philly Fanatic. So like that whole, so I got to see him for like 2 weeks, and like I had no idea what a SEAL was. Really, I had no idea what a SEAL was.
Yeah.
And so, but I just knew like I want to do whatever he's doing. I want to do that. I'm like, he's getting paid to do that. And so from there, I just read every goddamn book you could get. I mean, the internet was kind of up and coming back. Well, not back then, like I guess like senior year, but you couldn't like stream video. So I would read every single book in the library. When I started driving, I would just go to Barnes and Noble and like read all the books in there. They kicked me out because I wouldn't buy the books. I would just read all the books. I mean, like any kind of project, if there's any kind of like project in school where I had an option, it was always about Navy SEALs. And so, yeah, I mean, when I was 11 years old, it was like that very pinpoint moment. From there on, it was like everyone who knew me like knew I wanted to be a SEAL.
Plus too, like I remember, so like I feel like the SEALs, like the reputation of the SEALs really broke out in like the 90s, right? Like, I mean, like, I guess for us, but like SEALs were kind of talked about, but then they became like legit number one badasses, I mean, my dad would say the Rangers are the baddest, but but
on land they're good. Rangers
yeah.
are good on land, just not in the water.
yeah. The SEALs are the Rangers of the water, right? No, I mean, I'm being a dick, but no, but like that talk of like the Navy SEALs being the baddest dudes on the planet, that kind of like really broke out in like the 90s and like different kind of movies and things like that, or like different kind of shows talking about it. But would you say too, like your brother, right? So he's your older brother. You don't really see him. You just hear like, oh, he's in the Navy. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a Navy SEAL. And then like, that's all, like people talk about him and like you hear about him and like, you don't really see him. Then the next time you see him, he's fucking falling from the sky, like circling, and then almost dies and then walks it off like fucking Superman. So right there, you were just like, click, like, this is it. This is what I'm doing. This is, sign me up. Whatever this is, I'm doing it. And that kind of was the inspiration, that catalyst. You like just put you on a life mission, right?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, I mean, that's all I did. Like when I was playing sports, I played sports more or less just to fucking kill time. But like even when I was like playing baseball, like I was a pretty decent pitcher. I'm like, I wasn't throwing a baseball. I was throwing a grenade in my head. Like when I was, like, so I mean, like everything I did was always, it wasn't even about being good at the sports. It was about just killing time. And actually my senior year, I had tried, because I had all the classes I needed to graduate, like pretty much my junior year. Yeah. And I was trying to like just drop out and get a GED, but they're like, no, you can't have a GED. I'm like, what if I pass, I pass. But so, well, I mean, yeah, I mean, everything I was doing was, I was trying to get into the SEAL teams as fast as possible. So I was in school, I was just killing time. I wasn't like in classroom. I wasn't thinking about what I was supposed to be thinking about.
Yeah. Hey, so for everyone listening, for everyone listening, not watching on YouTube, we were just joined by the party man himself, the Prince of Party boy, Pete McCormick. Party boy, Pete, how you doing, buddy? Looking great.
Dude, Matt,
bro.
I was so pissed when I woke up this morning and saw my Zoom lecture was bumped up, because I was like, I had this one on the calendar. I was ready for the Sean Day episode. So I'm here now for the second half.
Very good. Well, hey,
sorry about that. I forgot about the time difference.
No, this was on me. I was completely. My professor this morning switched our Zoom from 9 a.m. to 12, and I was like, "Son of a bitch!" And like, I actually had questions, so I had to attend it.
Hey,
is your school all online right now, or are you actually doing in person with COVID?
So summer classes were still online. I have in classes starting in the fall, so I'm excited about the be in the classroom again. Actually.
Yeah, for nursing, you kind of you can't do an IV.
Yeah, exactly.
Online.
Yeah.
That's what I guess you could, but.
Well, that's the thing they were even talking about. I was on some Zoom thing because I'm just doing my prerequisites now. So nursing school I'm applying to, and they were like letting you know, like, hey, these clinicals you have to be at the hospital, because I think some people think they can do it virtually. They're like, no, like you need to be with patients. You can't learn how to deal with patients virtually. So
you need to get used to the sight of some nasty stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll talk about it probably later. But I was a combat medic, so you're gonna see some nasty shit. And I worked in the hospital. Like for my clinicals, like before I deployed, we have to go work in a hospital. You're gonna see some sick shit in the hospital.
Oh yeah, But both my parents are nurses, and actually one of my best buddies, he just became a fireman. And in Philly, like the fireman, most of your job is actually acting as a paramedic a lot of the times. Driving around the city. Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited about it. But yeah, not as excited as I am for this podcast though, Sean.
All right.
I haven't talked to you in I guess since high school, 18 years now.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's been now.
Jesus.
That long. He's still as good looking as we were back then, huh? So what we were talking about, Pete, when you jumped on, is talking about Sean's life mission to become a Navy SEAL, and how building up into high school was where he was at. And when in high school, he could have graduated early. They wouldn't let him, but his whole thing was, I'm just in my mind ready to be a Navy SEAL. Everything I'm doing, I'm researching all the books. When the internet came in, he's going online, and everything he was in his mind was training for SEALs. So I did want to ask this. So my old man, he was kind of like the being a Ranger was kind of like, his thing, like all his buddies and everybody, like that's what they wanted to do. And so they had to practice doing rappel, like a helicopter rappel. So what they did was, there's like this huge train tunnel, like of a train tracks near where they lived. So they would tie a rope to a tree and then do like a free rappel on the rope over like the train track. So it was kind of like they were hanging like from a helicopter, like they're not next to a wall. It's just them hanging there, you know? And like they would do like stuff like that. And that's like in high school and in college before they went to Ranger school, right? Did you do anything kind of like training like that, like in high school before you went to the Navy or like, cause I know you were running and stuff, right?
Yeah. I was playing sports and stuff like that. And so, but part of why I quit a lot of the sports, I pissed a lot of people off, was because I was doing screening tests. Like I knew I had all the books, and I knew like I knew like by third phase I had to swim 2 miles in under 75 minutes in the ocean. I had to run like 4 miles under 28 minutes in soft sand and boots. And I was, you would think intuitively like wrestling or football would kind of help that, but I was in those seasons or toward the end of the season, I would like, I would do a screening test and I wasn't passing it. So I'm like, this is not helping.
Yeah.
So that's
it's
why
a specific type of workout you had to pass.
Yeah, and actually, even in buds, I saw like college swimmers, I saw college wrestlers not make it through. So it's a very specific. I mean, obviously, some of them made it through too, but it's a very specific way of training. So, but no, I was in tech school, North Montco. I was in the protective services class, which they just teach people how to be cops and paramedics and stuff like that. But a Navy SEAL came in. And he knew a guy named Don Mann in Virginia Beach. Don Mann's like a legend. He's like a SEAL Team 6 guy, like a founder of one of the squadrons over there. And but he got when he got out of the SEAL teams, he got big into like adventure races. He was doing like those crazy like 7-day adventure races that I saw on Discovery Channel back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And he did all that in triathlons. But he had another event. I don't think he hasn't. It's called like war events, but he would do like these little mini SEAL training camps. And like the first one I went to was a 24-hour like Hell Week. So you just do all like the Hell Week shit, like all the boats and stuff like that. So
this was in high school you did it, Sean?
Yeah, I did that in high school. Yeah, I did that. So my family was awesome. They drove me down to Virginia Beach and got to see my brother again. I guess that was 10th grade. And then did a 48-hour one. And then going into my senior year, I did a 2-week one. And the 2-week one was badass. Like it started out with like a little mini Hell Week. And we learned like land navigation, how to read all the maps and all that kind of stuff, all the boat stuff, how to swim in the ocean. And then we also did skydiving, and I got qualified in scuba diving. Like this is like in high school. So
this is in high school.
Jesus Christ.
So it was really cool, but like it really
mattered just trying to figure out how to get 40s, and Sean's over here doing 2 weeks in the wilderness.
Yeah.
You guys didn't really hang out with me too much, but if Steve was here, I worked hard during the week, but when it came to Saturdays, I drank. So I definitely
had to let go.
You were ready to party.
But that's part of why I quit a lot of the sports, is because I was like doing all these sports. I'm like, I should be ready for the SEAL teams, but when I'm going to these training camps, I'm like getting my ass kicked. Like the first one, I got my ass kicked. I was not ready at all. Definitely got better. I started training more, but when I quit all those sports, I was running 40 miles a week, and like running 40 miles a week, 45 miles a week. You have to move. You have to like walk into it. You can't just go 45 miles right away because you get shin splints and stuff like that. And so reading all the books, I knew guys were getting shin splints. And so, that's what I was doing. I was just swimming a lot, running on like pretty much on my own. Dude. But I did that for 2 years, like training by myself.
Yeah.
And that's part of why my senior year, after taking 4 years off of like wrestling and stuff, I came back because I was just fucking bored. And like I was at that point I was passing the tests,
Yeah.
So I'm good, but it's boring running 45 miles a week, swimming 3-4 miles a week by yourself.
Yeah.
And so that was part of why I came back to sports my senior year.
Yeah. When in boxing, we have a saying where it's the only way to train for this shit is to do it. So for the Navy SEALs, I assume it's kind of the same thing. Like you're saying, you can do the running and the swimming and stuff, but really the only way to train for it is to do it. So that's crazy to think too. Like it's not like now there's so much access to it and everything like that. But you like a guy came in to speak to you, right? You went up to that guy afterwards and was like, look, this is my mission. This is my goal. How, like, do you have any advice or anything like that? And he's the one that told you about this stuff, right? And like,
you couldn't really Google it back then.
Exactly. Like there was no Google.
No.
So like
you had to hunt it down.
Yeah, you were the one going to the libraries and the Barnes and Nobles and everything and researching all of this and like hunting it down. Like if I were your parents, fuck yeah, I'm driving you to Virginia Beach because I'm like, this fucking kid's great. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
You know, like how awesome is that? This kid's like
Goal
so focused on
oriented.
a goal. Exactly. Yeah, so focused on a goal, and he wants to do it, and he's like, you know, he's at this age wanting to accomplish it. I mean, that's incredible, man. Honestly, and like I was saying, that kind of shit, like, because I remember people would talk about that when we're talking in high school, like who's the baddest dude in the school, and people are like, yeah, well, Sean Day's fucking going to Navy SEAL training camps. Like, come on, you know, like you think anyone's beating that? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it wasn't at all. It wasn't like unusual to see Sean out in like the cold running in shorts, you know, for like miles, right? Like you're
dude.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's another thing is like, you know, people don't realize, I mean, SEALs are definitely in good shape, and like they do a pretty good process about like screening guys to make sure like they're physically fit. So usually the guys who don't make it through, it's not because they don't pass tests, it's because they just quit. And usually it's because of the cold. That's a big part of it.
Really?
Yeah, we do something called surf torture, and that's when most people quit. I saw like really good athletes, like some in some cases world-class athletes just quit. But what they do is they put you in the surf zone, facing land, and you have to close your eyes, lock arms, and so all the water goes up over your face and then comes down your nose. So you're sort of getting waterboarded, but also putting in a hypothermic state. And that's actually when most guys quit. Like you would think it's like during the runs or during the swims.
Oh,
It's they usually just quit because the thought of being so uncomfortable. I mean, imagine taking a cold shower, just like sitting there in the morning and yeah, but like Pete said, like in high school, I read all the books. I knew most guys were quitting because of the cold. So I would just like take cold showers in the morning, and like if it was snowing outside, I'm like, I don't need a fucking coat. So I not
God.
which in hindsight
just
was
the point out, like
sick,
highlight.
I was sick all the time. So
just like highlight how like, so like, you know, like I'm in high school, you know, like I'm wrestling and everything, and I remember going to the beach, and one time I swam out too far and dove down and hit like a patch of cold water, and it freaked me out. Like I freaked out and like swam back to shore as fast as I could, and they're just going out there interlocking arms in the coldest water they can, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like you naturally should. Your body tells you this is dangerous. Get out of there. So like that, you know,
your body's like locking up. I do want to say, so I know, you know, I know this isn't real, but the movie, and I'm sure you're gonna hate this, but there's a scene in the movie G.I. Jane where like they're kind of like locked in and the waves are crashing over them, and then the doctor comes and inspects their eyes, right? Is that what they were doing to check for hypothermia, or is
that movie is actually 100% accurate? No, it's
really?
not.
I was about to be like, get the fuck out of here.
although they're actually letting women try out now. They're actually letting women try out, but the training is so hard, no woman has actually even passed the screening test to even get into Buds yet.
Yeah.
But
Hey,
but
it is hey, but it's the thing is, like, you're just being fair. Like, yeah, they can try. If you can fucking survive, more power to you. You know, right? Like, it's not like you're holding them back. It's just, look, it is what it is. It's fucking
biology. It's fucking evolution.
And it's about the safety of, you know, Sean, and you know, the other people make it through. You know what I mean? Like, you want to make sure that the people that are surrounding you are the most capable people. Like, you know, this is not it's not a joke.
Yeah, I agree.
But that scene actually, I haven't seen it in a while, but I'm trying to picture it in my head. But no, what you just said, it sounds accurate though. The surf torture, and it's the funny thing is, like, to get hypothermia, if your body temperature goes below 95 degrees, like you're in a world of fucking hurt. And so the water doesn't have to be that fucking cold. Like, I mean, you could theoretically, if I put you in a pool and it's 85 degrees and I just let you sit there, you'll get hypothermia. It's going to take a long time for you to get it.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is they have all these charts now, and they figure out how long you can stay in the water for how cold it is. So no matter what, so if it's a summer class, they're still going to put you in like a mild hypothermic state. Which sucks though, because if the water is warmer, you're going to be in the water longer. So you're getting like the waterboarding effect for longer. So it's like pick your poison. Yeah. I mean, but definitely if the water's cold, you get that initial rush where like, you know, your lungs kind of freeze up and So you don't get that effect, but like it's either way, it's going to suck. And the stats show that the dropout rate.
That's the
same.
Number. Yeah,
the dropout rate's still the same in the summertime, spring classes. So amongst the SEALs, we always joke around like my hell week was harder than your hell week.
Yeah,
but the stats don't say that. So.
Yeah,
There was a question I actually specifically wanted to ask because I remember hearing this and I wasn't sure if this was true. I think I heard like on a radio call like back in the day, but like, is there a part of training where like they drop you like a couple miles off of the shore and you have to like swim back down in like Florida or Georgia, or is that just like an urban legend?
No, they don't drop you off, but like last phase, third phase, you have to do a 5 nautical mile swim, but it's off the coast though.
Gotcha.
And where we did it, like maybe back in the day they did it like that. Because the whole idea of the 5 nautical miles is that you're swimming over the horizon. Because typically like a 5'8", 5'10" person can only see like 5 nautical miles over the horizon.
Yeah.
So all you flat earthers, the earth is not flat.
Yeah,
you can only see 5 miles. You can only see 5.
Sean has swam to the edge. He knows it's real.
Yeah.
No, but answer your question, we didn't, but but in real world, that's what we do. That's why we do 5 nautical miles. But maybe back in the day. But the reason we didn't do it because there's a lot of sharks out there.
Yeah, so, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, what?
So they wanted us to be close to the shore because when we did that swim, the 5 nautical miles, they had these. It's basically TNT, and they were throughout the whole swim. They were throwing that in the water. They're called ARDS. I don't know what it stands for. It's ARDS, ARDS, but they were throwing those in the water to scare away the sharks. But
Jesus
Christ.
But it was a 5 nautical mile swim. And actually, they actually briefed us wrong. And me and my swim buddy, he was a college swimmer. And he was a really good swimmer. And we decided we're going to go a little bit further off the coast because there's a better current. We could see the current. And so they briefed us wrong. And we actually wound up swimming like 6 or 7 miles, I think. But that was our final swim. That was a nut kicker. Like my fucking
Sean,
leg.
is it
legs fell asleep.
Does it matter what the weather is? It's like, oh, all right, like you're doing this in the winter or you're doing this in the store, like, or
San Diego, like I don't know.
It's always beautiful.
I mean, they only get maybe like a foot of water there.
Yeah.
A foot of rain every year. So and there was not really that many storms. I don't think I ever saw lightning there. Although
did you preface them on how when you showed up to the SEALs, this was when you showed up to Buds, your brother was kind of already a very established SEAL, correct?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
So people saw your name.
First phase wasn't too bad, but second phase, a bunch of the guys happened to work with him. And so, like, I would just get dropped because, like, I would just get dropped for no reason. Like, I got to the point where I would see certain instructors, and I would just drop down, do 50. And like, it was because I was like, I knew they were gonna say, they're like, get down, do 50, and like,
it's the opposite of college legacy.
I see.
And second, second phase sucked too, because we had like the big old school twin 80s, like scuba tanks in our backs. I'd do 50 push-ups. So I did a lot of extra push-ups.
Now, what's the term for that, Sean? What's the term for that? Humping the something, right? What is it?
Humping the something.
Is it with those tanks when you go underwater swimming? Don't they? Isn't there like a term for it or a phrase? I always hear like Jocko and them saying it. It's like an old school one when those old tanks. Apparently, they got better ones now. But you guys used to have those.
Well, they're twin 80s, but it's not that there's better ones. It's that they suck and they're really heavy, so that's why we use them. So Bud students today still use the twin 80s.
Oh,
really?
Because of how much they suck.
Just because they're suck. Like even in training, like we were using like old school radios from Vietnam, even though they have better radios, just because they were huge and they were like fucking 40 pounds, and they're like, here you go.
Yeah.
Just in case,
Hey, it makes you tougher, right?
Prepare for the worst,
Yeah. I did want to ask this, Sean. So my dad would always crack on. My godfather's my Uncle Marty, who's also a ranger. But my dad would always crack on him because my dad was a winter ranger and my Uncle Marty was a summer ranger. Is that kind of the same thing? Do you guys have that in SEALs where it's like, oh, you pussy, you did this in the summer, or you fucking stupid ass, you did it in the winter, or whatever it is? Like, does that come up, especially with like the hypothermia thing? I mean, it sucks either way, but yeah, like you said, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, we always make fun of each other, but I mean, outside of like your boot camp in your A school, you're still looking at a year of training to become to get your trident. So you're gonna. So either way, you pick your poison. You're gonna see it somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if you have a summer hell week and then you get to SQT, you're gonna be out there 2 a.m. in the winter on a fucking small boat. So I mean, either way, it's gonna suck. And actually, in the SEAL teams, they used to always joke around in Buds like you're gonna be colder in the SEAL teams than you are here. Absolutely fucking true.
Really,
100% true.
Oh, you hoped it wasn't true when they said that, but you found out it was.
Yeah. To steal a phrase from wrestling, they're all bad draws.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it sucks no matter what. And like even like other schools I went to, like sniper school, like, sniper school, like for winter classes, like, yeah, it wasn't as hot, but then they had no vegetation, so they couldn't stalk. So they always got spotted by the instructors. But then I was there in the summertime and it was super easy to stalk because there's all kinds of vegetation. But then I got fucking torn up and got like poison sumac and bitten by every goddamn bug you could ever see. So, I mean, we all joke around, but it's going to suck no matter what.
Yeah.
That's
Pick your poison.
When I started watching Naked and Afraid, that was the one thing I didn't realize was the bugs were the worst part of ever, just like getting eaten alive.
Dude, I saw guys. We're at this place. Oh, I won't mention it. There's a training location, but guy, we got bit by so many mosquitoes, and I was the lead medic. That guys were actually getting fevers.
Jesus
Oh my God!
Christ.
I mean, mosquitoes everywhere. So yeah, bugs are no joke.
Jesus. Where did you guys go for your cold winter training? Weren't you up in like a Kodiak or Alaska or some crazy shit?
Yeah, we went to Kodiak, Alaska, and that place
oh my
was.
God.
Dude,
You only see that on the
was,
History Channel. Like I can't imagine what that looks like.
Yeah, that place was so beautiful, man. Like
I can only imagine.
It was unreal, and like you could drink out of the water. It was so clean because it was. I don't know.
It's not touched by people, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the military owned it. I don't know who owned it, but basically, like your average person couldn't go out there, and so you could just drink out of the water. But we actually got there just before spring started. It happened to be a warm year, but again, like it doesn't matter if it's because they're gonna put you in the water no matter what. And the water is still 34 degrees. But no, I was gonna say, dude, the springtime was fucking scary though because all the bears were waking up.
Oh
yeah, it's called it's for Kodiak grizzly bears.
Dude,
like that's what they're named
right.
after. This place.
And
yeah.
And like people were like all scared of like these big bears, and I'm scared of a fucking skinny ass bear. Like you could see these bears ribs. They were fucking and I'm like, these things are fucking hungry.
Hungry. Yeah.
And so like we're walking around the woods, and like for whatever reason they wouldn't let us have guns. We had to, like, I don't know if it was above me. I don't know. I was fucking 19 years old. I don't know why, but they gave us stupid bear spray. So we're fucking walking around, and you could see fucking bears 200-300 yards away. And then toward the end of it, like the salmon run started. So they're down there like eating salmon. So like we're like down there doing our survival training, trying to get some food, and you fucking see a Kodiak bear.
They make Sean carry salmon in his pockets too. Like, yeah, get on the island, carry the salmon around, rub it on your face.
They don't even like it.
Here's some mace.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean now? A word from our sponsor.
Are you someone who struggles picking a podcast to listen to because your time is extremely valuable?
Yeah, how'd you know?
Are you someone who says, damn, there's not enough hours in the day to pick just one?
Mm-hmm. Wait, what the fuck?
Or are you someone who's interested in a podcast where they interview a wide range of people and find out how the hell they ended up in their profession?
It's like you read my mind.
If I say yes too, can you help
Oh,
me out?
shit!
On an unrelated note, while we call the police, if you said yes to all those questions, then look no further and allow me to introduce you to the Working Prospectus podcast, hosted by executive producer Matt Lavelle and accompanied by co-host Party Boy Pete McCormick. As mentioned, they interview a wide range of people and find out how in the purple nurple fuck they ended up in their professions, which I think, in my opinion, as someone who previously job hopped from one place to another until I found something I'm good at, this is something worth investing your time in. You will learn about jobs that you never knew existed. Feel the grind that some of these people felt before getting to where they are today. And just like me, it'll maybe help you find that motivation you're looking for to pursue and what it is you want to do. And also, they have great segments in the middle of the show, such as The Weekend Pop-In. Give it a shot. And my two favorites, Memory Lane and What's Going Down in Gamertown, which is a segment I'm part of, so you should definitely look into it. So, that being said, after this video, go out and listen to the Working Prospectus podcast. You can find them on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. All links are in the link tree, which is in the description. And now, back to the episode.
Once the movie's in theaters, it's gonna go onto the streaming services.
All right, Sean. So where we were at before, you're leaving high school. You could have left at any time, but you're done high school, and you knew like, hey, the SEALs is calling, and like you had done like you're saying, like you done all the camps, you done all the training, you did all the things, and you're ready to go. So you're finally done high school. How long after you graduated did you go, and then what is the process like? I know you researched all of it. But back then, did you have to like mail in something to qualify, or like because you did the camps, did you kind of have like a leg in, like, okay, this guy qualified for this, so he can jump on? Like, how does it kind of work, like signing up to go to Navy SEAL training?
No, I mean the camps and everything you do prior to that has nothing to do with it. So I had to go to the MEP center. So I was signed up during my senior year. Actually, I signed up after. Like I said, I was serious about it, but when 9/11 happened, I was really, really serious about it.
Yeah.
And so I signed up shortly there after 9/11. I was going to sign up anyway, but then that kind of sped it up. So I signed up senior year, and then had to go through MEPS. Had to do like the ASVAB and all that kind of stuff.
What is that?
MEPS? MEPS was that fucking stand for?
Is it like a physical thing or a mental?
Yeah, there's
test?
a whole thing. Like you got to do an ASVAB. You got to do like all kinds of physicals.
Oh, okay.
Military entrance processing company.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. So guess
the whole shebang. You got to do like SEALs have to have 20/20 vision. You can't have color blindness. Can't have flat
Pete.
For some reason, they check your asshole. I don't know why. They check your butthole. I don't. All kinds of weird tests.
It's
like psychological, like psychological tests, like to make sure you're not like a psycho. It's like
dilated 3 centimeters, good to go.
Do you like to kill kittens and like weird, a whole battery
psychological,
which is a yes for everybody, right? We're all yes on the kittens thing. No, okay.
Well, I was thinking too. I mean, even if you're a serial killer, you're like psychopath. Like obviously, you say no, right? My real answer was no.
Hey.
But we're screening for serial killers that are extremely honest.
So I could go through the whole process, and actually I scored really high on my ASVAB, which almost actually fucked me because I told the recruiter, I'm like, I want to be a SEAL, and at the time it's kind of complicated, but we had like these jobs called SEAL source rating jobs. So like when we took our tests, like you weren't actually taking like a SEAL test, you would take like a regular Navy test, like while you're in the Navy. So I had to do a SEAL source rating job. And so I qualified was like an IC, interior communications. So I'd be in charge of all like the computers and stuff like that on like a nuclear sub and stuff like that.
Oh shit.
And so since I qualified, I did well in my ASVAB. They were going to offer me an A school and what is called a C school. And then I had to stay in for 6 years, and they're going to give me $60,000 in addition to the GI Bill for college.
Oh shit!
And I'm fucking 18 years old. I'm like $60,000. I'm like, okay. I told the guy, I'm like, I want to be a SEAL. I didn't know about all this SEAL source rating business. I'm like, I just saw I could be a SEAL and get $60,000. So I signed up for that. But what actually saved my ass is I was signed up, and I actually got a DUI at the very end of my senior year.
Really?
I remember.
I was going to see this crazy chick. She had a girlfriend. That was fun. Like a real girlfriend. But I was going to see her.
Yeah.
And I just fucking my Monte Carlo 87 Monte Carlo Super Sport that had like 150 horsepower, but all in one tire, just one tire.
Jesus.
And so I got fucking stuck like on the side of the road, like just like a little patch of dirt, and I could not get my fucking my car out of there.
So it's not even like you were swerving, like hit anything. You're just like, oh, I got stuck.
No, I literally pulled over because I had my mom's cell phone, and so I was trying to like figure out where she was at, and so I was going to call her, and I was responsible enough to like not, drive drunk and talk on my phone. So I pulled over.
Very responsible.
Trying to be responsible here,
Hell yeah.
So I got a DUI, but the fucking judge saw like my record of like schoolwork. I was a pretty good student. ASVAB was good. And he was like, dude, he's like, I don't want you in my town right now. He's like, I will drop this if you leave as soon as possible. And so I was supposed to leave like the end of August. So I'm going to have the whole summer to kind of relax a little bit.
Yeah.
But the only job that was available, I had to like leave in June, like the middle of June. So like right after we graduated. And so the only job that was available was a corpsman, like a medic. But that actually saved me from having to wait 6 years to be a SEAL. Because had I not got that DUI, it would honestly, that job, I'd be making like 6 figures right now doing that job, the IC on the outside world.
Yeah.
But anyway,
would you be as happy though? Like you seem pretty happy with what you're
He said,
doing.
"Fuck no."
No.
And just for reference, Sean, where you purchased a certain human you bought that 87 Monte Carlo from was the establishment I was just in, and happened to see Brandon's little brother Eddie in there. How about it?
Oh, shout out Eddie.
Yeah, shout out Eddie Hill.
Eddie
Yeah,
Hill.
just seen him.
Shout out. Nice.
And it was the guy that he bought that car from too.
Where? Tony's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
Pizza
drug
Palace.
pretty sure it was like a drug card. But that car had like little secret compartments to put like you
Send it out windows.
could put 40s behind the whole dashboard.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
That's a perfect high school car, baby.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
The
great.
car was awesome. I love that.
It
car.
was.
Really?
I loved it.
Yeah, really, you got to thank the lesbian girlfriend thing because I mean, had you not, you'd be fucking, miserable behind some desk right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the moral of the story is get DUIs and date lesbians. But don't. I got lucky. I don't know. If there's,
Only
I'm
get
not
a
like,
DUI if there's lesbians.
right.
I'm not like
DUIs
a
without
big
lesbians is
religious-
useless.
Yep.
I'm not a big religious person, but I don't know. Like, I mean, I don't know if it was luck or it seems like my whole career, I made some bad decisions, but they always sort of panned out. I don't know
Yeah,
how
Call
they
it
panned out.
karma.
yeah,
Yeah.
it worked out.
Talk up the karma.
I
Yeah.
call it divine intervention.
Hey, man.
Yeah, whoever.
Whatever, dude. You had a different path, and I mean, honestly, like you're I mean, we'll get into it, but a corpsman legit has to play God. So
Oh
you
yeah,
know what I mean?
sure
Like,
does.
you have to decide life or death. So all right, so let's do this. So you graduate from high school. You're supposed to go do the 6-year gimmick, 60 grand, all that shit. That's kicked out when you have some lesbians and a DUI. So you graduate high school. We graduate, like graduation is like June 10th, June 11th.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
leave like June 15th.
Immediately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I think my official start date in the Navy was like July 2nd, 2002. So I don't know the exact graduation. So it was right afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Immediate,
you're
yep.
legit right gone.
Grabs his diploma, walks right onto the bus. Here we go.
Yeah. So
And
you're
for
out.
some of you just wondering, some of you younger kids out there, to let you know the climate of the world at that point, we're fresh off of 9/11
Yeah.
and the war is
Yeah.
bumping. So you going into the service, 100% chance you going overseas.
Yeah, he's so from those you can't understand Steve because he's breaking up a little bit. He's jumping in the pool while the sharks are definitely still biting. We're fucking
Oh
saying
yeah.
that. So
Oh yeah.
Well, and as we talked, because we just aired the Nicolante episode, like
Yeah.
at this time, like nothing was ramped up, right? There was no ramp up of production for weapons or protective gear. Like I remember there was parents that were mailing their kids, like body armor
Flak
because they just
jackets,
didn't have it. Yep.
Yeah.
They were reinforcing the Humvees on their own, like on the
Yeah.
ground.
Yeah.
It was
When
just
when you're a SEAL, that type of shit doesn't happen. They got all the cool shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a lot different for us, and we'll talk about that too.
SEALs
but,
are different.
But the pipeline is a lot different for us. Like, I mean, infantry guys can theoretically like graduate high school and then be in combat in like 6 months.
It's crazy.
Like you're not gonna do that as a SEAL. Just our training pipeline is too long. So
Yeah. So okay, so let's keep this going. So you graduate, you jump on the bus, you're off to training. So how does it work for SEALs? Do you have, because the SEALs are a branch of the Navy, do you have to go to a Navy boot camp first, or do you just go right to the SEALs training?
No, the Navy's not. No, I mean, Navy SEALs are part of the Navy.
Right.
It's the Department of the Navy, and so actually so Marines. But
Yeah.
no. So it's different now. But when I went through, I just went to regular boot camp with like regular people, like regular Navy guys. So
Yeah.
I went to Great Lakes. It's a Chicago, Illinois.
Nice.
Went there, and it was honestly boot camp. Navy boot camp is a joke. Like, and I mean, physically. I mean,
Yeah,
'cause you gotta think
yeah.
like Navy guys, like, I mean, ultimately they're fucking button pushers. I mean, the buttons they're pushing. I mean, the buttons. No, but I mean, the buttons they're pushing can like take out fucking cities. So
Yeah.
they're very, 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 very important buttons.
They not
So
gross though.
Yeah, it's more about like learning how to like operate on a ship. I mean, Navy guys have a very, very important job. It's
Of
just
course.
it's not very physically demanding.
Would you
And
say
so
I'm
I-
reminded of that scene in Starship Troopers where he's like, "Oh, "Sir, why do we have to learn how to throw a knife?" And he throws the knife through his hand. He's like, "He cannot push a button if you disable his hand."
Exactly. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the buttons they have in the Navy, dude, they'll take out fucking small countries.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I feel like, so a term that has come up when we've spoken with other military guys on the show is the term pogue, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, I feel like the Navy is more pogue heavy. Would you say than?
I always hear that, but what does that stand for? Like, I know what it means. But what is it?
People other than grunts.
Yeah, person other than
Okay,
grunts.
yeah.
So you don't leave the wire.
Yeah, there's definitely that mentality. And it's sort of, we always call it like coming back to the flagship or coming back to the flag, but like they're like in their little bubble and like they're all about like proper haircuts and doing all their thing, which is applicable for what they do. But we come back in the field and we're just like, get the fuck out of my face. They're like I remember being like, but it happened even overseas. Like I remember even like in Fallujah, actually, when I saw Brandon over there randomly,
which is so crazy, crazy.
Yeah, completely random. We were like doing like, I don't know what we were doing. We did like some kind of like two day patrol, and out in the field just eat shitty food. And we want some good food. And actually, Fallujah had like a badass fucking chow hall, and we go in there with our field uniforms. We almost never wear rank out in the field.
Yeah,
the name tapes. And some fucking Marine was like giving us shit for like not having the proper uniform of the day on. Like, so my fucking my chief stepped in and was like, "Hey, motherfucker!" Like he was nice about it. He was like very cordial, but
yeah, you're like, I've been wiping the sand out of my asshole for a month.
Yeah. He's like, we've been
shit off a hungry grizzly bear and got eaten by mosquitoes for a week.
Yeah. We've been shitting in a hole the size of a coffee can for 4 fucking weeks, bub. I don't give a shit what my fatigues look like, right? Like, yeah. So you're at camp, right? So you do the Navy boot camp, right, in the Great Lakes. So where do you go from the Navy boot camp? Because when we talked to Nick Nicolante, he said he would go to MOS training. So the MOS is occupational specialty. So after boot camp in the Navy, where do you go from there? Do you go right to SEALs training, or how does it work?
Yeah, it's all different now. But back when I went through, like I said, we had the SEAL source rating job. So we don't call it an MOS, we call it an A school. Okay. So my A school was it was still in Chicago. So boot camp was 3 months or 13 weeks. Yeah. Went to my A school, hospital corpsman, did that for 13 weeks. And that was basically just learning to be like a nurse's aide.
Yeah.
But now actually, guys, the A school is BUDS. So guys now will go into boot camp with just guys who want to be like EOD, diver, SEALs. They're all together, but not for me. So it was different. So those guys are actually in shape in boot camp for the screening test. So in boot camp, I had to do the screening test, passed that, screened positive for BUDS, went to the Corpsman A school, did that for 14 weeks, had to pass another screening test again, passed that, went to BUDS, and I skipped the indoc. The indoc's supposed to be 5 weeks, and I went straight into BUDS.
Jesus Christ!
And is that because of did you get certain scores that allowed you to do that, or the camp that you've done in high school?
What fast tracked you?
I mean, as long as you qualified, they would just let you in. The only way you couldn't get in is if you didn't pass the physical screening test, or you didn't have the because for the ASVAB score, for infantry, for instance, you need I think a 32%. You need to score 32%. Better than everyone else. But for us, you had to do a 65 percentile. So you had to be smarter than 65%. So you had to pass that. So guys, you could retest. And so some guys would have to retest that. Or if you didn't pass your A school stuff, you had to do that. And then you had to pass your physical screening test. And so, sometimes guys would get out of shape and not do that. But I trained the entire time. When I was in A school, we had some more freedom and we had weekends off and, nights off. And so guys would go out and do what they were going to do. I was just training.
Hey, where's the lesbian bar around here?
Yeah.
Some guys. Yeah, well, I wasn't 21, so I couldn't go to the bars anyway.
Yeah.
And but this was Chicago. It's Great Lakes, but it's fucking Chicago. You don't go outside Chicago.
Yeah.
Not as a white guy.
Yeah.
8 o'clock at night. There's gangs. I mean, it's legit. You see in the news, man.
Chirac, bro. Chirac.
I had a buddy of mine. He was a SEAL. He got fucking beat up by a bunch of gang members, knocked out cold, put in a hospital in Chicago.
Jesus Christ. Damn, they're not fucking around. So real quick, Pete, you're colorblind, right?
Yes.
Nah, it's a bummer, man. You can never be a SEAL.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of things stopping me from being the SEAL, man. Not just the color blindness.
I mean, I still think you'd been a great one, Pete, even though. All right. So either way, okay. So you qualify, you do like the 65%, you're in that percentile, you score that and you get through all the testing, you get to buds. Can you go over like, are you allowed to talk to us? Like, what is Hell Week like? Like, obviously the only thing we know is like the fucking movies and the bullshit, right? And like, I've said this on the show before, and I feel like it's the same with the military. Is that in like fighting, right? In like the fighting game, fighting movies are kind of shit on just because like they're over dramatized, and there's a lot of things that aren't like it's not really how
all
it is.
haymakers.
Exactly, and like don't get me wrong, there's tidbits here and there that have specks of realism, but as far as like the military movies and stuff like that. I'm like you said earlier, G.I. Jane is a complete accurate depiction of what it's like.
100%.
Yeah, no, but so like but what from
it's the wrong location.
Yeah,
they shot in Virginia Beach. It's in San Diego, but
yeah,
couldn't even
they
get
can't
the
even get the city. Yeah,
they couldn't get the location right.
Yeah, so but
here's the problem. Ready for me to get hate in 3, 2, 1. The difference between boys and girls. Did anybody watch in the Olympics the medley swimming where they mix the girls with the guys in the 4-man team?
No.
And you have 2 girls and 2 guys, and it's a 200-meter swim.
No.
Well, when the guys jump in and there's girls going, so you can put it in any order you want, they're 5,000 miles ahead of them.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
That's sexist,
get
man.
the fuck
That's
out of my
sexist, dude.
that broad.
Matt, Steve, they also have bigger dicks, from what I've heard.
Yeah, the weightlifter, she didn't even fucking
Hell
win.
yeah, Petey.
She didn't even win.
Yeah.
The weightlifter girl, I was like, yeah.
Yeah,
You have to get political. We won't go there.
Fuck out of here.
I mean, whatever. We can get political. I mean, we won't talk politics, but that's more of like he's not wrong. Like Dave Chappelle said it the best, right? If men and women were equal physically, right, then there'd be no WNBA because women would just be good enough to play in the NBA.
Well, I mean, that's why I don't know. That's why I always have a soft spot for female wrestlers because a lot of them had to come up wrestling with the guys. Like remember, like even when we had a couple of girls on the team, and like they were there, going through the practices.
Exactly. And like
was it Dana Moyer that was on the team with us? Gutting it out. So
and no one
with zero testosterone in their body. Like, how do you do that? It's hard with testosterone to fucking make it through.
Yeah.
Now, did I go full grapevine on Dana a couple times? Whatever. Double grapes. We're out here. Everybody's friends. We're just teammates,
Sure.
We're all trying to get it outside of the wrestling.
Yeah. So, okay. So, Sean, like we were saying, could you kind of give us just a taste of what Hell Week is like?
Yeah. So Hell Week's the second week.
Oh shit. What's the first week?
Yeah, the first they keep changing it because they keep trying to like get a better retention rate. But for me, it was it started the third week, and so we start Sunday night, and you get 4 hours of sleep on Wednesday, and then you end Friday morning. So it's 5.5 days with 4.5 hours of sleep. And honestly, like if it's not really any one event that's like hard, it's just like the grind. Like you're just constantly going and going, and then like the sleep kind of gets to you, and then the whole time, most people are quitting because of the cold. Really? So they do all kinds of, like one of the events I know was like Steel Pier. That we had a lot of guys. So it was like 2 a.m. and they get a hose, cold water, and just you're sitting on a steel pier and they just spray you. And just like, I remember we had a contest. It was like trivia, and I actually my boat team. I got my boat team to get off the steel pier because I answered some random question. They were like, What animal kills the most people every year? And I was like, hippopotamus. And that's right. And so we got off the steel pier. So, but that's how Buds was. It was like, there was a lot of shitty events, but if you won an event or if you did some kind of contest, you get a little break. So you didn't get to sleep, but you get like periodic breaks. So I basically just like moved from event to event. And I'm like, eventually, I'll get a break. And I'm like, they're not going to kill us like intentionally.
Yeah.
So
intentionally, that's the key word.
Do people die during training? Like, does that happen?
Yeah, I mean, they're getting better about it now. Like they figure out what people die from, but it happens from time to time. But like, I think back in the day, people probably got more hypothermia, but now like they actually have doctors out there and like they make sure your temperature's good. Which the skinny guys got it bad. So this is probably something I don't know if they ever mentioned it on some of the shows, but the only way to get a proper PD, you'll probably have to know this, maybe some get hypothermia, but the only way to get a real body temperature is not through the mouth. You actually have to go do a core body temperature.
So
you have to get
the rectum. Yeah,
through the rectum. So
rectum damn near killed him.
So some of the skinny guys get the anal probe, and like that was like sort of like that, they were like the canary in the coal mine. Like it's just to see how cold we all were. But I knew they weren't going to really kill us. But I mean, my mentality was that I wasn't going to quit
no matter
what.
The
only way I was going to go home is if I was dead or they kicked me out. So
yeah, and that's kind of the mentality they want, right? Like to quit, you'd have to kill you. Yeah. Yeah.
So we started with like I can't think of the number we started with buds with, but a few guys quit before Hell Week. I think Hell Week we started with like 180 something guys. And then at the end of it, after 5.5 days, only 28 of us were left.
How do they quit though? Like, do they just
ring the bell?
Oh, so that's real. The bell gimmick is real.
Yeah. Oh, the bell's bell's real. And they put on the grinder, they put your helmets there. And the entire time, it's not like they're trying to build you up. Like they're calling you a pussy. Like the instructors are like, "Hey, quit." They're like, "Hey, come in the truck with us. There's donuts in here. It's nice and warm." And like the whole time they're wanting you to quit. I mean, internally they don't want you to quit. Like after years later, I talked to them and stuff like that. They're like, "No, we want you to make it through, but we also not going to make easy for you."
You have to weed them out.
Like, they're telling you that quit, but
it's a weeding out process.
Would they like? Okay, so like they're sitting there with donuts and all that stuff in the truck and everything's cool, and they're saying, "Hey, quit. You can have some donuts." Would they legit give them donuts if they quit, or they're just like, "You fucking pussy, get out of here"? Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, no, I'm actually friends with one of my buds instructors now. Actually, one of them lives out here in Arizona, but no, they were pretty nice to him. I mean, like their mentality was like, and I have the same mentality. I mean, like anyone who signed up for 9/11, after 9/11, anyone who signs up for the military, and especially anyone who just signs up to be a SEAL, and even if you don't make it through, you're still a badass. You're still a respectable person. So like once they crossed that line and they quit, they were nice to him. Like, hey, and really they would start talking to them.
Yeah, you had to put in a lot of work to get there.
And sort of like getting into like why'd you quit? And believe it or not, some guys actually quit. And when you quit, like you have to go back to the regular Navy, and you have to take your time, like 2-3 years. But I know guys who, not in my buds class, but guys who quit, came back years later, made it, and then one of the guys I'm thinking about right now was actually at SEAL Team 6. Like,
wow.
He was young. I think he was a Marine, transferred over, went to buds, quit, went back to the fleet, and he came back to buds like pretty old. Like the cutoff, I think, is like 28 to even try out. He came back when he was like 27, 28 and made it later on in life, and then was a badass SEAL, and then made SEAL Team 6. So even if you quit, you can come back. I mean, really, as long as you don't have like some catastrophic injury, and you're not an asshole. If you have a good attitude, like even if you fail events, like let's say you make it through Hell Week, that happens. People will fail a swim or something like that, and they'll have to get rolled back to the next class. As long as you have a good attitude, they'll work with you. As long as you don't quit, they don't give a shit. I mean, because everyone has their kryptonite in buds. Like, I mean, everyone's gonna like. I saw really good swimmers, awesome in the water, but then they put them on land with a rucksack, and they can't do shit because they have skinny little legs, So, but they gotta.
Like Sean, you seem like you were probably prepared more than anybody could. Like, you had a brother that was a SEAL. You read the books, you did all the trainings, and like, were you even prepared for it, or were you like, wow, I guess that's the thing. Like, you can't even be prepared for something like that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's like you can't prepare yourself for Hell Week, and some of the stuff that you're doing is so dangerous. But Hell Week is just, I didn't realize how bad it was going to hurt. Like, it hurt so fucking bad, and I got really sick during Hell Week too. Because I had pretty big legs. I was big into squatting, and so like my legs would rub together. So I got they were just rubbed raw 5.5 days in sand,
bro.
And so I got like this stuff called cellulitis, and I got a fever and everything like that. It went into my bloodstream, and so like if I sat down, my legs, like the scabs would like heal together and like rip apart. And so I was walking around like all bone-legged after. So like I prepared myself, but I didn't realize how bad it was going to hurt. I mean,
like, hey, don't squat. It'll cause cellulitis down the road.
But the squatting saved him later, right? When it did help him, but it's like, what would you say, Sean? What would you say was the number one thing that prepared you for buds that you did before that you're like, if I didn't do this, I would have been fucked?
Honestly, I don't know. In hindsight, I don't know. I mean, if any of it would have like helped. I mean, I guess I didn't get shin splints. That's a big problem. The guys were tough. I think the mileage I was doing in high school. I mean, I think a SEAL is going to be a SEAL. They're not going to quit. But as far as injuries, I think that's kind of like just it's genetic. You're kind of born with it or not. Like the quitting gene, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing I didn't get injured was the running. I didn't get shin splints. So
tendons and joints were ready for it.
But really, really smart people, like the Navy, it sounds impressive to have a 70, 90% dropout rate. But the Navy standpoint is that's a big fucking waste of money. So they got all these really smart statisticians, like PhD level psychologists, psychiatrists, and they started interviewing all the BUDS classes and trying to figure out what makes a SEAL, and they couldn't figure it out. Like
no rhyme, no reason.
Yeah, because it was for the recruiting effort. Because like if you're a recruiter, Navy SEAL recruiter, like okay, if we find out like wrestlers do the best, obviously you're gonna go high school wrestling rooms, college, but they found out like there's like really no rhyme or reason to it. And I saw that anecdotally in my class. I saw really good wrestlers make it through, some not, some, but I think they saw a slight increase, but not enough to like direct recruiting efforts. They saw, I think it was water polo players did slightly better than the public, not much better. Wrestlers, boxers, and swimmers, but it's slightly better. It's slightly, but nothing like that. Nothing like when the Navy's going to be like, we're only going to get water polo players and wrestlers, and that's it. Because in my class, I saw people who were like fucking plumber. I had one guy who was like a college dropout, and then was like a rent-a-car guy. Didn't even really work out that much. And was like, I want to be a SEAL after 9/11. He just made it through.
Wow.
I mean, it's the old saying, right? It doesn't build character or reveals it. Like at the end of the day, like you don't know who has it until they go through it.
Yeah.
And Sean, is this still a thing? I remember them used to say that. So the thing people don't realize is if you sign up for the Navy and you go and try out for the SEALs and you don't make it, you're stuck on some bullshit ship and some bullshit job for the next couple of years. Correct?
Yeah. When I went through, it was different. So I had to go like to an A school. So if I didn't make it through, I would have been like a hospital corpsman. So I would have been like helping out like nurses and doctors in a hospital. Where a lot of guys went FMF. So since the Marines are a department of the Navy, all of their medics are actually corpsmen. So for me with my route, I probably would have went like that route if I didn't make it through. But now your MOS, you guys are calling it, with the A school, BUDS is the A school. So if you don't make it through BUDS, you basically fail out of your A school. So you don't have an A school. And so usually what they'll do is they'll send you to a ship as an undesignated like seaman, whatever. And they're doing all the shit jobs. Like, cause you have no job. So you're like chipping paint on the side of a ship and stuff like that. So it's definitely worse for guys now. Guys who don't make it through, like, unless you have some kind of hookup or unless you were prior regular Navy, guys are getting shit jobs. And like, I mean,
imagine you got all your whole life. You're all ready to become a SEAL. You think you're going to be Rambo. Something goes wrong. Next thing you know, you're scraping fucking paint off the side of a ship in the Philippines.
And it happens. Well, it happens a lot. It's like 30% of 30 to or 70 to 90% don't make it through.
Jesus,
which is that number is not even completely accurate because you got to think about all the guys who tried to even get in didn't get in.
So this is
and then the screening test. I remember in boot camp. I mean, we must have had like 50, 75 people. And like the screening test to get into EOD, like the bomb specialists, and the divers, SEALs, it's all the same initial screening test. And we had a bunch, 50, 75 people. I think only 4 or 5 of us, passed the thing.
Oh my God.
Just to get in.
That's what you're saying. Like they have all those statisticians and psychologists, beforehand, just trying to figure out like, how they can weed it down. And then come back and still 70% after that, after it's been pared down to here's the best of the best.
Yeah. And so all these people, it's like saying like, I got like selling books and selling YouTube videos and all that kind of shit. Like I got the secret formula. If they had the fucking secret formula, they'd be fucking millionaires because they could save the Navy.
The Pentagon itself would just like, here's your check.
I mean, I heard one stat, it costs like $250,000 just to put one SEAL through training, just to get a trident if he goes perfectly through. So that's all the way through. So imagine a fraction of that for all those people who don't make it through. I mean, so all these people like selling some kind of formula, all bullshit. But even as a kid, I mean, I had coaches telling me like, no, this is going to help you. You should stick with football. You should stick with this. I'm like, I don't think you guys know what you're talking about. And I think my coaches like didn't think I was gonna make it through anyway, and they thought like, well, you can maybe like I guess middle school I was pretty good at sports. Like at that point, I could have maybe I was on a trajectory to maybe like go to like a small.
Sean, you were a really good wrestler. Like I usually want people to know, 'cause, like we were in middle school together. Yeah, because like I was horrible in middle school, and you were like destroying everyone. I remember.
Yeah, I took
in every sport. You put him on the football field, everything. He was destroying.
Yeah, I don't know what that tournament was, but what's that end of the year middle school tournament where it's like all the middle schools?
Bucksmonts, yeah.
Yeah, I took second in that, and the guy I lost to, he was a really good wrestler.
Was really good. Yeah,
Dan Meister. He was the only guy I lost to, I think, in middle school. Oh no, I lost one other match. I got fucking stuck in a bullshit headlock, but I wound up destroying that kid and pinning him in like fucking 30 seconds in the tournament. So I came back. But no, like I mean, there's no formula for any of it. I don't know.
I mean,
if you could figure it out, you're gonna be a wealthy man. You can do it.
Yeah, no, that is great. And I will say this. So I did some research for Marine Recon, and the average Marine Recon guy to train them completely, right? It's $1.5 million on average, right?
Oh,
so that's not even including, right? Like, so Nick, we had on the show, he's been Marine Recon. So 0321, right, is what he's considered, an 0321. So to train those guys, it's $1.5 million on average. He's been an 0321 for 14 years, right? And he's done tons and tons of training. And I'm assuming, Sean, it was the same for you, the same for your brother, where you're not like your training doesn't end at buds, right? You're doing all these different types of training, and that's all being paid for. So you yourself are worth millions of dollars in the same.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Just like the training.
It's called a good return on investment, we say in the business world.
Yeah.
We'll see what 20 years there's no fucking terrorist attacks.
I did.
We'll find out. We just left, so no, we'll find out.
I did want to ask this though. So I did want to ask this. So for your training, your specialties and all that stuff cost millions of dollars. I don't know is it the same for the Navy? Well, I guess it is. Is that if you're KIA, your next of kin, your life insurance policy is $400,000 is what they get if you're KIA, right? Is that the same for you guys? Are you comfortable answering that? If that's,
I don't mind.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, I think it was a little more than that. I think you could like up it a little bit. So I had that. Whole life insurance policy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because but
that was a weird thing. Is like people now, like they're all weirded out. We got to do a will. Like every single deployment, we had to update our will, and it just became like normal. We used to like second, third deployment, we would joke around like because we would like usually go in a big room, all the SEALs together, and they have like the Navy JAGs there, like their Navy lawyers there.
Jeff gets my Star Wars collection, and
so we joke around like, who wants my Xbox? Hey, who wants my Xbox? Temple gets my Xbox. And like these, and I remember like we had like there was always like the main JAG there, and they'd always have some people in training, and so like you could tell like they're young lawyers. They're just like trying to be like all respectful and like they're probably used to like normal people, because most people that they're doing a will, they're like probably somber and like we're all just fucking joking around like, who wants my thong? My thong? I gotta use blow up doll.
I still have my Cobb collection from third grade. I got a bunch of slammers. If anybody.
Yeah,
and then I remember
the
mine. Like,
Jag-off came from.
Yeah, I started putting like funny shit in mine. Like I put like for my funeral stuff. I'm like, I want a Viking funeral. I want everyone to get drunk, put me in a boat, and shoot flaming arrows at me. And
that would be the fucking.
I like
shit,
legit like the 13th Warrior scene. I like legit.
Yes.
Legit put that in my. Because like after like my third or fourth deployment, like you start seeing crazy shit. You just fucking turn it off, and you're just like,
you have
to
laugh.
You
have to laugh.
Drive you crazy if you if you don't.
Oh yeah, if like that's why people think like, if you're around like doctors or nurses in the ER or paramedics or cops, stuff like that, we always have like sick sense of humor. It's because if you can't laugh at like ridiculous shit, you're gonna go nuts. Like it's not like we're serial killers and we're fucking crazy. It's like that's the only coping mechanism you can do. Because if you can't laugh at that shit, like you're gonna go fucking nuts.
Gotta laugh to keep them crying. Steve, were you gonna say something, buddy?
Yeah, so back to kind of your timeline. So Sean goes away, right? Again, he's damn near a brother to me. So Sean leaves. He gets done. He we all knew he was gonna make it. We just I knew two things: either he was gonna come back in a box, or he was gonna come back a fucking SEAL. There was no other options, right? You just knew this was what this kid wanted since he was fucking a baby.
I already
So
know
he
the
comes
story.
back after he makes everything. He comes back, and they had a little party for Sean when he got. I think it was when he got onto his first team. Comes back, and is missing half the skin on his fucking face. And I'm like, Sean, what the fuck happened? And what happened? Did they like something with a beach thing after you made the team, like the initiation, or?
Wait. This is before you went on your first tour. You're already missing the skin from half of your face.
Remember when you came to Tex-Mex or you came to Pizza Time, and I think I think the story was, I could be wrong, I was very drunk, but I think the story was after you made one of the teams, or you did something. The initiation was they tied some guys to like the back of like buggies and drug them across the beach or some shit.
I thought you were gonna tell a different story. No, that one. No, I got hazed. I mean, I don't know if that happened. Like, well, we all got hazed. I mean,
everybody gets
but
it.
But you had an older brother in the gimmick that was very famous. So you got it.
Well, he wasn't famous
worse.
yet. I mean, people.
Yeah, he
knew
wasn't
him,
famous yet. He was just a badass at that point.
But he already had a rep though. Like he had a rep. Yeah.
People knew who he was.
Yeah,
that rep was being a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is amongst Navy SEAls, but in the SEAL teams, like everyone gets hazed, but I got hazed like really bad. Because I fucking. Long story short, I mean, I don't know if it was like a real reason, but basically, as a new guy, you're gonna fuck up no matter what. It's just there's a lot. It's it's a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so I fucked up, and so they tried hazing me, and like we used to like cruise around like these 12-passenger vans, like these big V12 huge vans, and we used to go to the fucking bar in them. So it was like a weekend going to the bar, and they I said something wrong to my team leader. He got fucking pissed off and decided like it was my time to get hazed. And so like he's being all nonchalant, like leaving the bar, and I get in the van, and I can just like feel there's like some kind of vibe. I'm like, I think I'm gonna get hazed because all the other new guys were told to go in another van. I'm like, that's weird.
Oh man.
And so I get in the van, and they fucking tried like, they tried like choking me out, but I fucking went like this because I was doing a little bit of jujitsu on the side, so I knew
keep that
more than
chin
most
down,
people.
boy.
So I was like this, and like not getting choked out, and like my first thought was like, they can't haze me out in town because we're out in town.
Yeah.
I'm like, they can't haze me out in town. So I'm like, if I fucking choke out the driver, he can't drive. I can get out of this thing and get the fuck away. So I fucking tried like choking the driver. I was fucking drunk that night.
Was the driver a SEAL too?
Yeah, he was a SEAL. Yeah,
Okay.
like we're just partying. Like we're just out. Having some fun.
You didn't hire like some random Uber fucking guy.
Yeah, this guy's like, what is going on in the back of my car?
This is like 2004. So I get like
yeah.
I mean, so I get the seatbelt and tried to fucking wrap around his neck, trying to fucking stop him. And dude, that was the worst thing I could have done. Like, I think my hazing was gonna be, bad anyway. But like from there on, like they were like legit, because the hazing is supposed to like be initiation, but also like teach you some lessons. But when I did that, it was like we're just gonna beat his fucking ass.
Yeah.
So it was like a 15-minute ride back. It's like I got my ass beat in there by like fucking 10 SEALs. One of them actually, I think I had like a purple belt at the time, which was a big deal. Like, I had a purple belt back in like
Oh yeah.
Even now it's a big deal, but back then it was like you're a god.
Yeah.
He came up and just started beating the fuck out of me, and then I got tied up, stripped naked. I got choked out like probably like 7 or 8 times back to back. Like they would put rear naked choke, clean choke, blood choke, not trachea choke. Passed out and like came back to. They were hitting me with like. Yeah. And then just beating my ass, putting spray glue in my asshole. I mean,
gotta close that diameter up for your inspection.
Yeah, just weird. I mean, that hazing, it was, I'll just say this, it was even amongst SEALs, like, because usually after you get hazed, you sort of get hazed a little bit here and there, but after that, like, I didn't get messed with at all, because they were impressed that
they were like, "Fuck, we went a little overboard."
Yeah,
they were impressed that I fought back.
He's tough.
They were pretty impressed that I fought back. I mean, like even
hell yeah,
having like a decent amount of wrestling, and then I was doing like judo, so I knew like judo. We learned like some chokes and stuff like that, and I was doing a little bit of jiu-jitsu on the side. So like, they were just impressed I fought back. Yeah, because I think most people just lay down and take it, but the entire time I was getting hazed, I was trying to run away.
Yeah.
And I couldn't, I obviously never got away, but I got my fucking ass beat. I mean, beat to a pulp pretty much. And like, to the point where even on deployment, all the other new guys got taken aside and got hazed. And they're like, no, you're not touching Sean. Like, so
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He already got it.
yeah, I got it all at once, whereas most SEALs will kind of get it like sporadically throughout.
Right,
Yeah.
I just got
you
one
got
big
an all
thing.
you could eat buffet of.
I couldn't
Oh,
fucking
shit.
walk. I mean, I was supposed to be a driver, and I got kicked in the leg so much that like my whole leg was like tensing up that I couldn't even fucking drive. So I had to. They threw me up in the turret. So I just shoot. It was just training missions. So I was just shooting the 50 cal up in the turret because I couldn't drive. They're like, why can't you drive? I'm like, what's my fucking leg? It's like my fucking my. I'm like, it's fucking. I can't drive.
Yeah.
So
Unreal.
but then I came home shortly after that, and
Yep.
I was still healing from it.
Oh yeah.
No, I thought you were gonna tell the story where the police raided your house and I wasn't 21 yet.
That was awesome.
Wait, this is
party
like-
house
fuck is
in
this?
Manayunk. In
Oh
Manayunk.
my
Yep.
God.
And so this
Yeah.
is this is after Buds, like you're.
Yeah, so this was so my pipeline, I do the boot camp, A school, buds. So that's 6 months of buds, and then I did 2 weeks of more medical training for myself, like dive stuff.
So you're
And
not
then
even
back-
so you're not even 21 yet.
No, not yet. And so back then, we had to go through the jump school. I had to go to the fucking regular Army jump school, static line school. Then you go to SQT. That was a month, and then SQT. That's another 4 months, and then you're finally a SEAL. You finally get your trident after all that time. But
Yeah.
even then, I was a hospital corpsman, but I had to go through the 18 Delta course, which is like a combat medic school. So I was
Yeah.
training with like the Green Berets and Rangers actually.
Yeah.
And that school was fucking badass.
The
so that's
Delta
7
school,
months.
right?
Yeah, that's where like all the Delta Force guys go, Rangers, Green Berets.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best combat medic school.
Yeah.
Probably. I heard the Air Force one's pretty good. The PJs are pretty fucking badass. But I did that,
It's
and
a
then
fucking
finally
Air
got to
Force, though. Come on.
yeah, but the PJs though. PJs.
Yeah, it
are,
would make sense, right? 'Cause
What
they're
are
like
the
they're
P- what are
medevacing
the
people out.
PJs?
they're pair jumpers, and they're
Oh.
basically just their primary mission is just
Search
to
and
find like
rescue?
down search and
Yep.
rescue for down pilots. But
Yep.
Oh fuck.
That's
They're-
what's coming to
I mean-
find you when you're distressed. You know?
yeah, I mean
They
they're
better
very
be
very
the best.
specialized, so they don't have like all the random skills we do. But as a result, like they're probably the best medics probably in the entire military.
Damn.
But yeah, so
And now
that's
when
a
you get
long
done all that,
pipeline.
Sean,
And then finally I get to SEAL Team 2 after all that time, and then you still have to do a 1.5 year workup. So that's why like it was like probably 3.5 years by the time I signed up before I even went to combat. And so
Yeah.
when I saw Steve, it was I wasn't even 21 yet because
Nope.
I just showed up to SEAL Team 2.
and now two
Shit.
things
a
you
long,
gotta
long
you
pipeline.
gotta tell them. First thing I want to start with is tell them how when you become a SEAL. For those that don't know, what do they do with this trident when you're standing in the line? How do they award you your trident?
Well, they stopped doing it officially because
Oh, do they?
Well, we still did it like afterwards. The instructors would do it, but like the graduation's like an official thing now, and so
Okay.
technically like we're not supposed to be hazed, even though it's hazed, so like all kind of stuff. But but after we did our official graduation, they punch it in, so it's like you're called a Budweiser, a trident, but it's our warfare pin. It's got 3.
Mhm.
I don't know, there's little like pins. You have a little needle through
Yeah,
it,
like a
put the
bobby
little
pin
doodad.
type.
Yeah.
What are things called? They fucking put it in your chest, then they fucking punch it into your chest.
The pin straight in. They don't pin it to your shirt. They take the pin, the sharp point, and jab it directly through your
Yeah.
fucking breastplate into your fucking chest.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's better
Wow.
than getting your asshole glued.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. After your asshole is glued shut, all of a sudden things.
You're like, yeah, fuck it.
all
I'll
right.
take this pin in the chest and fucking
Yeah.
all right. Yeah.
And then the second thing, which is super interesting, every time Sean tells me some of this shit, I'm always like, I don't forget it. So the second interesting thing is, tell him your roommate that you were when you guys first get done, and now you're getting to choose because you get to choose which kind of coast you want to go on for like what is it? The odd teams are on in Cali, the even teams are in Virginia, whatever.
Yeah,
But Sean
yeah,
gets to kind of choose a team. So there was a friend of his that ended up being in a movie that you guys kind of tell him how that situation happened.
Yeah, American Sniper. You guys probably saw that, right? With
Yeah,
Chris Kyle.
Chris Kyle.
Of
Yeah.
course.
A lot of those movies now they're hiring former SEALs to make sure the scenes are quasi legit.
Accurate.
Well, my roommate Kevin Lace, he was out there like just kind of helping out with the movie with I think it was Clint Eastwood, right?
Clint
Who
Eastwood.
directed it?
Yeah.
He was with Clint Eastwood, and he was like helping him make sure the scenes were legit because he was actually there with Chris Kyle. And
wow.
they were like, dude, like you got to look for it. You look like you're decent. You could like be an actor. So he was telling his character what he was supposed to do. But then they're like, "How about you just play yourself?" So Kevin Lace actually played himself in the movie, and he was my roommate down in Fort Bragg. So I went through all the way through Buds with him.
Yeah.
And then we went to 18 Delta together, and then we were sort of choosing teams. I mean, because there's sort of a quota, but you kind of get to choose a little bit. And so it came down to me and him, and so we just fucking flipped a coin. And he went West Coast and I went East Coast. So I almost went to the West Coast. So
he would have been playing Sean Day in the movie.
Yeah, really.
Oh shit.
Yeah, so I could have been. I could have been with like Jocko Willnick and stuff like that, and Chris Kyle. But maybe we'll get into it. But I mean, I'm glad I didn't, because honestly, the way they were doing things, like they were doing like daytime ops. Like when I went to SEAL Team 2, we never did daytime ops at all, because like we were like, what's the point of doing a daytime op? We got night vision goggles. We can see 300 meters. You can't even, the night vision goggles we had, you can't even get on the market, because they use a certain frequency so that like only our infrared lasers can see them. And so like the best the enemy could get was like some shit they would buy in America at like Dick's Sporting Goods or Sports Authority, send it over. So our mentality was like, why would we even get close to them? We'll just stay 200-300 meters away. But yeah, that's how I went to the East Coast. And I don't have like any super exciting stories as a result. I mean, because most of the people I handcuffed them in their sleep at night. But yeah, I almost went to like, I could have been working with Jocko, had all those crazy fucking stories. But at the time, I think there was a period in my life where like I wish I would have gone that route. But I never got shot, never got a Purple Heart. Yes. So I'm glad I never got a Purple Heart. No one ever got shot or killed on a mission I was on, and we did plenty of missions. There was definitely a scenario for that to happen, but we did things differently, and we got all the bad guys pretty much handcuffed in their sleep, which is ultimately because if you fucking kill people,
use the night, right? You know what I mean? You use whatever advantage you have. Like that's the whole goal of it.
Yeah. So
at the time, I mean, it was really important too, because we didn't even know there was an insurgency going on. We didn't know that there was bad. We thought the bad guys were just like, this is early on in the war. We thought the guys were just Iraqis. Like we thought they were just like guys that were loyal to Saddam and they were just fighting back, which was the case a little bit. But because we didn't like just shoot every single person, we'd hand them off to the intel people. We found out like these guys are coming from other places, like getting training in Iran, coming from Syria. And so, but I almost could have been with like Chris Kyle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it all worked out.
Yeah. It seems like it turned out pretty good for you, but I did want to add. So let's get back to the timeline though. So you go through Buds, you go through the Delta team, you go through everything, and you're just about to get with your SEAL Team 2, and you'd be with them for like a year and a half and stuff, right? Before you go on a mission.
Yes. Yeah. So it's more. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, what happened? What happened with Steve's house that got raided? Can we talk about that?
There was no lesbians there to bail him out.
No, long story short, he was having his typical Manioc parties, I guess. I mean, I wasn't there all the time, obviously, but I got there. There was a huge party, and fucking cops come with like a paddy wagon, like a legit, like one of those paddy wagon ones, like just to arrest all of us. Yeah. And so we just we all run away, and like I'm not fucking getting caught. So he had this big hill in the back of his property, bunch of like some kind of like grass and shit there and brush. So I just fucking sat there and hid in the brush for like 2 hours. And I'm like, I am not fucking moving. And like to the point where like I'm not moving, I actually pissed myself. Because I'm like, I am not getting caught. I mean, I went through like hell and back. At this point, I've been in training for, I'm a SEAL now, training my whole life. I'm like, I am not fucking getting caught. So I fucking sat there in the back of Steve's house in a bunch of like shrubs and stuff like that, like not moving, just waiting for the cops to leave. And I come back and it's like,
your training saved you.
Why are you all wet? I'm like, yeah, I had to pee myself because I wasn't gonna move. They're like, what?
They're like, dude, the cops left an hour ago.
I don't even know what happened. Steve will probably tell you. I don't know.
Steve's like, they come every single weekend and no one gets arrested.
All I heard is cops. I'm like, I'm not asking questions. Yeah. I heard the word cops and I was fucking out of there.
Yeah.
I was out of there.
Yeah, smart. Oh, yeah, you didn't want to jeopardize your future. Steve, do you want to elaborate a little bit on that story or what?
Not really, but anyway, so my house was on, for you guys that know Roxborough, Manioc. It was on Wendover Avenue, right off of Manioc Avenue.
Yeah.
So
all right.
if you know where the bar Castle Rock is,
you
come out Castle Rock's door and look up, there's that huge fucking stone like rock cliff.
Yeah.
That was our backyard. So it was kind of dicey out back there too. Guys were about to take a piss at night. I'm like, watch where you step, bro. You might just fall off that fucking little cliff right there, right onto the street.
Yeah.
It was icy too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Asshole actually got into a fight out in front of Castle Rocks one time.
He told me.
Yeah, beat the crap out of the guy. It was great. So, okay. So let's keep it moving then. So after you piss yourself in the bush out of the back of Steve's old house,
And he pissed on my wall a bunch of times too in the crib. People used to come up to me and go, because we were all wasted. And for some reason, people always came to me to try to like mitigate people like Romeo and Sean Day, because no one else wanted to say anything. They didn't want to get the shit beat out of them. So they would always come up to me and be like, hey, Steve, you got to go get your boy. You get your boy. And I'm like, where? What? I look over and I'm like, oh, y'all think I'm going to touch him right now? I'm like, no. I've been in that scenario. You touch him, see how it goes. I know how it goes. Get the fuck out of here. Let him
But in reality, though, in a street fight, Steve's a wrestler. Let's be honest here. You probably would beat me like a straight hand-to-hand combat. But I am going to grab some shit, though, in the meantime. I'm going to grab bottles.
How dare you?
But me and Steve never fought. We never.
Nope. I was got you into fights, so that was my goal. I didn't have to fight you because I would get other people to.
But wrestling-wise, you would kick my ass. Fucking senior year, I was like, why did I take 4 years off? Jesus Christ. This is hard.
It's all right. You're busy training, to be a badass. I mean,
I remember Jocko, they were talking to Jocko and stuff about one of the SEALs. Jocko's a big proponent of instituting jiu-jitsu into the SEALs and stuff. And one of the guys that was on his show was like, here's the thing, Jocko. If it breaks down to hand-to-hand combat, that's not a good day. Like, I'd rather just be better at shooting and shoot him dead in the face before he gets that close. Like, it's not a good day if I'm doing jiu-jitsu with a fucking insurgent.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially, I mean, if you're going against, if you're going to do a guy, you already know he's like a suspected bomb maker or suicide vest. I mean, the last thing I want to do is start wrestling around with some dude who has a grenade or something like that. So, no, I mean, and it's cool to do like jiu-jitsu and stuff like that, but we're gunfighters. We're fucking gunslingers.
Yeah,
and you need
you're gunfighters.
What we said earlier, like return on investment. What do you get your return on investment with your training? And it's
Yeah. I mean, it's probably good to have. It'd be nice if they worked in their own type of special form of jiu-jitsu that involved weapons. You know what I mean?
Jocko does. It's like a Krav Maga type ordeal.
Yeah, they are now. And actually, Krav Maga is actually really good now because Krav Maga's never been a style. It's always a system. So they always adopt. And so they're right. So now like they integrate like Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu, but for like a Krav Maga, like we don't learn Krav Maga per se, but it's sort of like that, and there's like a little bit of ground game.
Yeah, isn't Krav Maga just basically like the precursor to MMA? They're like, hey, this is what kind of works in these styles, and we'll just put it together and make a style. And since then MMA's been born, but
and it's
before MMA. They've been doing that over there in Russia. They've been doing MMA with this shit forever.
Well, it's Israel, right?
Israel. In Israel,
the Middle East, the whole, but like Russian special forces use it, all that shit.
Yeah.
Israel is. I mean, it's insane what they're the size of fucking New Jersey, and they're fucking fighting off the world, but. Yeah. All kinds of cool shit comes out of there.
But Mossad,
hey man,
I was a kid. I mean, when I was a kid, I was reading like Navy SEAL books, and I would always read like CIA and FBI. Because at that point, there's not that many SEAL books. So I kind of exhausted all that, so I started reading a lot of books about like Mossad and like Russian special forces and stuff like that. But Mossad are badasses, but they were the ones that created the Krav Maga. But the problem with Krav Maga, I've done it in the civilian world. The problem is finding like good training partners because usually your best athletes are going to go to MMA gyms. So I was doing Krav Maga outside, but then like I was destroying everyone there because they're not really into the sport of it. So I got into like jiu-jitsu and stuff like that just to find like good athletes.
Better partners.
It's like people that just kind of take yoga as a thing to do. They weren't really like, hey, I'm trying to compete. I'm not, it's a different mentality.
Yeah.
So I mean, I like the Krav Maga stuff, but at the end of the day, you need good training partners, and skill is definitely a big part of it. It's also good to have like a big, strong guy who has like a tiny bit of skill. He's just fucking destroy you.
Yeah,
you get better.
Steel. Yeah. Training partners are your tools. We say it all the time. You're absolutely right. So let's keep this moving then, right? So now you're at your first SEAL Team 2, which would you be with SEAL Team 2 your whole career?
Pretty much. I did some other stuff, but got to team 2, and it was like a whole year and a half workup, and we were.
What
so
is
after all that training?
Yeah. So sorry. Can you? What is the year and a half? Like, so can I? Sorry to keep bringing up movies, but Lone Survivor, the Marcus Luttrell gimmick, right? So there's like a guy in one of the opening scenes, there's like a guy like begging to go on a mission, but he wasn't allowed yet. Like you had to wait to be allowed to go on the mission. Like they had to clear him, right, by like a senior officer. So is that kind of what you were doing at the time, where it's like, look, you're here, you're hanging with us, you're getting like, you're going with us places, you're seeing like how we're doing things, and this is how we do our shit, but you're not going on the missions yet? Is that kind of what it is? Like you're viewing for like a year and a half, or how's it work?
No, I mean, some of it. I mean, it's always a trial. Like, the SEAL team is like, you can, even after you become a SEAL, you can quit anytime. And it's always a tryout too. Like at any point in training, anyone could say like, you're not going to go to war. But no, that's sort of just the standard thing you do is you have to do a year and a half workout, because you have to train with your guys, and every single team trains a little bit differently. So it's a whole year and a half workout where you're doing 6 months of like specialty training, where guys will go to like the breaching school, learn how to break into buildings, sniper school, which eventually I would do too. Medic school, which I already did at that point. You do all kinds of specialty training, and that's usually on your own. You go to a school, do that, and then you do 6 months with your team, where you're like integrating together, and you have different blocks. Like, so we would do one block where we were down in Key West, like doing all our diving stuff, skydiving, and then next block come back to Virginia Beach for a little bit, then go somewhere else and do land warfare, another 5 weeks, do all that more gun training out there, and learning how to do small unit tactics and shooting rockets and shooting little grenade launcher.
Sounds fucking awesome.
And then the next block is like learning how to do sort of the same thing as land warfare, but in a vehicle now. So you have to like learn how to do like driving off road in a Humvee while shooting like grenades off the top of the fucking vehicle and 50 cal.
Awesome.
And then next
like
block
kind
is
of
something
getting a
else.
boner?
Dude, it was fun, man. Like it was. I mean, after a while, toward the end of our career, it becomes a job in the beginning, dude. It's so fucking fun.
Dude, it sounds like the best fucking job ever. Yeah.
Ever.
And then the last 6 months, by then you've usually figured out exactly where we're going to go. And so our mission was going to be, for SEALs, that's what we want to do. Like we were excited. So like I was excited, but we found out we were going to Iraq. We found out our mission. We're supposed to do, we had to do PSD, which is personal security detachment. So we're basically like the Secret Service almost. We're like protecting all these big wigs over in Iraq, like all the Iraqi government that we helped.
They were setting up. Yeah.
And so our mission was to do that. And so that for that last 6 months, we actually got like Secret Service training. Like we actually had Secret Service guys train us. And that was fucking fun, man. But anyways, that 6 months was really fun. We're doing Secret Service type stuff. And one of the funnest events we did was the command bought us a bunch of old fucking vehicles. And I was practicing driving around the principal. Like that's the guy you drive around, like, Secret Service, like they'd call president.
You'd be the
principal. You'd be the principal. So I was driving him around, and you have a lead and shift vehicle in front and back of you. And so we had a little mock mission, and we had to like go drive somewhere. And then all the other SEALs were in all these piece of shit vehicles, just playing bumper cars, trying to like get us to like not get to our. So we were just driving around. It was so fucking fun, man. Like it was
awesome.
It was definitely stressful. I was a new guy. I was always getting shit on, so like that. Not so much after I got hazed, but like it was still fun, man. Like it was a lot of fun. And then finally we deployed. So you're talking about almost 3.5 years of training. So I felt ready, and then finally went to Iraq. Although I went to South America at the last second for a few months, and then went to Iraq for my first deployment. So I did a small stint down in South America.
Damn, dude, that sounds like, I mean, you had, like, to be fair, like you had to earn to be in that position. Like, let's be clear here. Yeah. You weren't given it. Like, that's something you earned, but that does sound fucking awesome. Like, come on.
Bumper cars, man. Like, who doesn't like, it's like bumper cars going 50 miles per hour. It was real vehicles. Yeah, we had like a little paintball gun. It's not a paintball gun. It's a real gun. But it's a real round, but it has little wax rounds, which fucking hurt, by the way. It'll break skin. So running around. Imagine bumper cars with paintballs.
It's people would pay thousands of dollars to do that. Tell you that. So
So just to keep it in chronological order too. So Sean does this with the South American thing, right?
Yeah.
So he gets right before, I think this is right after, this could be after his first tour, he could correct me, or it could be right before he goes on this one, right? He gets they give you that little bit of leave before you head out. They say, hey, go see your loved ones. You got 2 weeks to go kiss your fucking girlfriend, say bye to your mother. You're over in who knows fucking where, right?
Yeah.
So Sean comes home, And at this point, I'm living in Lansdale, right? He comes to our buddy's house. He's hanging out with me and shit. So we tell him he was going up to New York for a little bit. And the next night we had a buddy's party that was supposed to be in a certain establishment around here, right? So he pulls up to my house and he's like, hey, you want to see the guns I have? And I forget what the fuck they're called. It was like Mark 14. I don't know. It was something dope as shit that came in a case, right? So Sean like pulls open the back of his truck and he like opens this case that makes him look like he's a contract killer. Because I watch movies. I don't do SEAL shit. I don't know this. But I know that I've seen this before in a movie and it means, I don't know, you're Antonio Banderas or some shit. So he pulls out this case with this dope ass gun in it, right? He's like putting it together, showing it to us. Well, then I guess he could take it from here. He goes up to New York and he's not used to stopping at said stoplights because he's been out of country for a while, driving around in the middle of nowhere. So he might have ran a light in New York City. Is that what happened, Sean?
No, that was actually that was years later. That was like,
I think that's up in chronological order.
Yeah.
No, it was way late. That was 2010.
This story's
but no,
fantastic, though.
So, all right, we're coming to the top of time here for part 1 of the Sean Day extravaganza. So, Sean, anything you want to say to the fans before we take off?
No.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Love it.
Don't be a pussy.
Very good. Love that. Party Boy Pete, anything you want to say to the dozens and dozens of listeners before we get out of here?
Guys, I think this SEAL stuff is pretty hard.
Yeah. Seems difficult. N-Dub's favorite son, anything you want to leave to the listeners before we get out of here?
America! Fuck yeah!
Fuck yeah. All right. So this has been another episode of the Working Prospectus podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and YouTube at Working Prospectus Podcast. You can have us on Instagram at Working Prospectus Podcast and join us on the Twitter and the TikTok at Working P Pod. If you'd like to be a guest on the show, then email us at workingprospectus@gmail.com. All right. This is the end of the show. Part 2 is coming next week. Thanks. See ya. Do you have a message or a story inside of you that you've been waiting to tell? Have you always dreamed of writing a book, but are intimidated by the complexities of the book publishing world? Perhaps you want to use a book to launch your public speaking or consulting career. If so, please reach out to Scott & Bell Publishing, located right here in beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Scott & Bell Publishing handle all genres and authors with all experience levels. Scott & Bell Publishing gives authors 100% creative freedom and a higher royalty split. They can be found at www.skotbell.com. That's www.s as in Sam, K as in Kite, O as in October, T as in Tom, B as in Boy, E as in Edward, L as in Larry, L as in Larry.com. That's Scott & Bell Publishing, where the authors go.
It's our objective to be effective by voicing societies. Working perspective, exploring your day and how you get